The helicopter's rotors fade into silence, leaving Marina standing on a platform of ice that stretches endlessly in every direction. The Arctic air fills her lungs with a crystalline clarity she has never experienced before, each breath visible as soft vapor that dances away on the gentle wind. Above her, the sky holds that peculiar light of autumn at the edge of the world, neither fully day nor night, but something suspended between the two. Dr. Henrik Larsson emerges from the research station, his weathered face creased into a warm smile beneath his fur-lined hood. Behind him follow two other figures: Sarah, the marine biologist whose eyes sparkle with the same excitement Marina feels, and Olaf, the station engineer whose steady presence immediately puts her at ease. They move across the ice with the confident gait of those who have learned to trust this frozen landscape. "Welcome to Station Nordlys," Henrik says, his Norwegian accent lending music to the words. "You've arrived at the perfect moment. The whales are gathering for their autumn migrations, and the ice is singing its own songs tonight." As they walk toward the station, Marina notices how the buildings seem to emerge naturally from the ice, their rounded edges and warm yellow windows making them appear like gentle giants resting on the frozen sea. The construction is purposeful yet unobtrusive, designed to work with the Arctic environment rather than against it. Solar panels glint softly in the ethereal light, and wind generators turn slowly in the perpetual breeze. Inside, the station radiates warmth and comfort. The walls are lined with rich wood that glows golden under soft lighting, and the common room centers around a large window that looks out onto the endless ice field. Sarah pours steaming coffee from a thermal pot, the aroma mixing with the subtle scent of pine and the clean smell of Arctic air that clings to their clothing. "Tomorrow we'll show you the real wonder," Sarah says, settling into one of the comfortable chairs near the window. "The observatory has been waiting for you." That evening, after a dinner of hearty soup and fresh bread that Olaf baked himself, they guide Marina through a series of airlocks and down a spiraling staircase that descends through the ice itself. The walls gleam pale blue-green, ancient ice compressed over centuries, and Marina runs her gloved hand along the smooth surface, feeling the profound stillness held within. At the bottom of the staircase, they emerge into a space that takes Marina's breath away. The underwater observatory is a hemisphere of reinforced glass, suspended in a pocket beneath the ice shelf. The curved walls offer a 360-degree view into the Arctic waters, and Marina feels as though she has stepped into another world entirely. The water around them glows with an otherworldly blue-green light, filtered sunlight mixing with the natural phosphorescence of Arctic marine life. Schools of small fish drift by like living clouds, their scales catching and reflecting the light in subtle flashes of silver. In the distance, she can make out the ghostly forms of larger creatures moving through their liquid realm. "This is where you'll spend your days," Henrik explains, his voice soft with reverence. "The hydrophones are positioned all around us, creating a network that captures the whale songs from miles away. The computer systems will record everything, but your trained ear will hear what the machines cannot. The subtleties, the emotions, the conversations happening in frequencies we're only beginning to understand." Marina moves to the center of the dome, where a comfortable chair faces a bank of monitors and speakers. She settles into it and immediately feels the profound peace of this underwater sanctuary. The gentle movement of the water creates ever-shifting patterns of light on the walls, and she can hear, even without the hydrophones activated, the subtle creaks and whispers of the ice above them. Sarah activates the sound system, and suddenly the observatory fills with the deep, resonant calls of distant whales. The songs flow through the water and into this glass sanctuary, ancient melodies that speak of journeys across vast oceans, of family bonds that span generations, of wisdom passed down through centuries of oceanic memory. Marina closes her eyes and lets the whale's songs wash over her. This is what she has traveled to the edge of the world to find. This connection to the ocean's deepest voices. This opportunity to become a keeper of songs that have echoed through Arctic waters since long before humans walked the earth. As they ascend back to the station, Marina knows that tomorrow will begin a year unlike any other. She will become part of this ecosystem of ice and water and song, a guardian of conversations carried on currents that circle the globe. The Arctic night settles gently around Station Nordlies, and Marina falls asleep to the distant lullaby of whale songs drifting up through the ice, welcoming her to their underwater world. The metal stairs spiral downward into the heart of the research station, each footstep echoing softly against the curved walls. Marina's hand trails along the cool railing as she descends, leaving behind the bustling sounds of the upper levels for something far more profound, the deep quiet that exists only in the spaces between worlds, where ice meets water, where human ears learn to listen for voices older than memory. The observatory door opens with a gentle hiss, and she steps into her new domain. The circular room stretches before her, its walls lined with banks of recording equipment, their lights blinking like distant stars in the soft blue glow of the emergency lighting. But it's the great window that draws her breath away, a massive portal of reinforced glass that looks directly into the Arctic waters below. The ice station floats like an island of light in an ocean of liquid darkness, and through that darkness, shadows move. Marina approaches the hydrophone controls with careful hands. These instruments are her lifeline to the world below, more sensitive than any human ear could ever be. She adjusts the frequency dials with practiced precision, feeling for that perfect balance between clarity and depth. The headphones settle over her ears like a familiar embrace, and suddenly the silence transforms. At first, there is only the gentle whisper of water currents, the subtle creaking of ice above, the distant hum of the station's generators. But Marina knows how to wait. She has learned patience in the quiet corners of marine laboratories, in the long hours spent listening to recordings that others might dismiss as mere noise. Her fingers move across the equalizer, fine-tuning the reception, opening her electronic ears to frequencies that drift far beyond human hearing. The first sound comes as a surprise, even though she has been expecting it. A low, resonant call emerges from the depths, so deep it seems to rise from the ocean floor itself, so ancient it carries the weight of millennia. Marina's breath catches as she recognizes the unmistakable voice of a humpback whale, somewhere far out in the dark waters, singing its song to the Arctic night. She reaches for her notebook with trembling fingers, her pen poised above the lined pages. Time, 1432. Species, likely humpback, based on frequency and tonal quality. Distance, estimated 2 to 3 kilometers northeast. But these clinical notes cannot capture what she truly hears: the loneliness in that voice, the way it rises and falls like a question posed to the endless sea, waiting for an answer that may never come. The song continues, each phrase flowing into the next with a liquid grace that defies human understanding. Marina closes her eyes and lets the melody wash over her. This is why she came to the Arctic, why she left behind the comfortable predictability of coastal research. Here, in this place where few humans dare to venture, the whales sing their truest songs, unfiltered by the noise of ships and cities, pure as the ice that surrounds them. As she listens, other voices begin to emerge from the acoustic tapestry. The higher-pitched clicks and whistles of smaller cetaceans weave between the humpback's deeper tones. The scrape of ice against ice provides a percussive backdrop, while the gentle rush of currents carries melodies from singers too distant to identify. Marina realizes she is not just listening to individual whales, she is hearing an entire ecosystem in conversation. a community of voices that has existed here long before humans ever imagined the Arctic's existence. Her recording equipment captures every nuance, every subtle shift in frequency and amplitude. The digital displays show wavelengths that dance and pulse like living things, transforming sound into light, voice into visual poetry. But Marina knows that the real magic cannot be measured or quantified. It exists in the spaces between the notes, in the silence that gives meaning to the song, in the vast loneliness of waters that stretch beyond the horizon. The humpback's call fades gradually, its final notes dissolving into the ambient sounds of the sea. Marina lifts her pen again, adding notes about duration and tonal variation, but her mind is already reaching forward, wondering when the next song will come, what stories it will tell, what secrets it might reveal about life in these remote waters. She adjusts the hydrophones once more, casting her electronic net wider, deeper into the Arctic waters. Somewhere out there, in the darkness beneath the ice, other whales are preparing their own songs. Marina settles back in her chair, headphones comfortable against her ears, ready to listen for however long it takes. This is her work now, to be the keeper of these ancient melodies, to ensure that even in the most remote corners of the world, someone is listening when the whales choose to sing. Beneath the crystalline ceiling of Arctic ice, Marina's world has become one of infinite blue gradients and whispered melodies. 3 weeks have passed since she first descended into these depths, and each morning brings new discoveries floating through the frigid waters like musical gifts from ancient civilizations. The hydrophone array spreads around her research station like a web of listening ears, each device tuned to capture the conversations that drift through the ocean's vast halls. Marina has learned to read the visual patterns that dance across her monitors, wavelengths that translate the sea's hidden language into something her human mind can begin to comprehend. The screens glow softly in the perpetual twilight of her underwater sanctuary, casting gentle blue shadows across her journal as she transcribes the songs that fill these waters. This morning, the humpbacks are singing. Their voices emerge from the darkness like cathedral bells submerged in honey, each note stretching and bending through the water with impossible grace. Marina closes her eyes and lets the sound wash over her, feeling the vibrations travel through the metal hull of her station and into her bones. These are the poets of the deep, she writes, their songs unfolding in verses that can last for hours. She has begun to recognize individual voices. There is one male whose melody always begins with a low, mournful phrase that rises into something that sounds almost like hope. Another singer weaves complex harmonies that seem to tell stories of distant feeding grounds and warm equatorial waters where calves are born beneath tropical stars. The humpback songs fade gradually, replaced by a different kind of conversation entirely. Through her headphones comes the sharp, purposeful clicking of sperm whales, a language of echolocation that paints pictures in sound. Marina adjusts her equipment, filtering the frequencies to better capture these percussive exchanges. Unlike the flowing melodies of the humpbacks, this is practical communication, she observes, watching the rhythmic patterns scroll across her screen. The clicks come in rapid bursts, each whale's voice distinct in pitch and timbre. She imagines them swimming through the midnight zone far below, their massive heads scanning the darkness for squid, their clicks bouncing off ancient shipwrecks and underwater mountains, creating sonic maps of a world no human eye has ever seen. The sperm whale's conversation grows distant, and in the quiet that follows, Marina becomes aware of something else. A sound so low it exists more as a feeling than a hearing. She adjusts her equipment again, dropping the frequency range to its lowest setting. There, barely registering on her instruments, is the voice that has haunted mariners for centuries, without them ever knowing they heard it. The blue whale's call emerges from the very foundations of the ocean, a sound that can travel across entire ocean basins, carrying messages from one lonely giant to another across thousands of miles of empty water. Marina leans forward, watching the massive sound waves unfold across her monitor like slow breathing. These calls can last for minutes, each one infused with a melancholy so profound it seems to carry the weight of geological time. She thinks of the blue whale who made this sound. Somewhere in the vast darkness beyond her stations, lights, a creature the size of a cathedral nave, swimming alone through waters that stretch beyond the horizon in every direction. The call repeats, and Marina realizes she is listening to a conversation that began before humans ever looked upon the sea. A dialogue between beings whose ancestors sang these same songs when the continents themselves were young. As she records and catalogs each voice, Marina begins to understand that she is not just documenting animal behavior, but witnessing the daily operations of an underwater civilization. Each species maintains its own cultural traditions, passed down through generations of singers who have never seen land. The humpbacks compose new verses each season, while preserving ancient melodies that connect them to their ancestral feeding grounds. The sperm whales share hunting strategies and social bonds through their clicking conversations. The blue whales broadcast their presence across ocean basins, maintaining connections across distances that would challenge human imagination. Her instruments capture it all. The gentle lullabies of mother whales calling to their calves, the complex harmonies of pod reunions, the solo performances that echo through underwater canyons like prayers offered to the sea itself. Marina's station becomes a library of liquid music, each recording a chapter in the ongoing story of the ocean's most eloquent inhabitants. Outside her porthole, the aurora borealis flickers through the ice above, painting the water in shifting curtains of green and gold. The whale songs continue through the eternal Arctic twilight, and Marina settles into her work with the peaceful satisfaction of a translator slowly mastering a beautiful and ancient language, one note at a time. The first notes reach Marina through her headphones like silver bells carried on an underwater breeze. She pauses, her teacup halfway to her lips, as the familiar yet always magical sound fills the monitoring station. Beluga calls, those distinctive musical voices that have earned these Arctic whales their reputation as the canaries of the sea. Through the curved observation windows, the water appears empty at first, just the familiar dance of pale green light filtering down from the ice ceiling above. But then, like ghosts materializing from a dream, the first white shapes emerge from the deeper blue. Beluga whales, their pale forms moving with unhurried grace through their Arctic home. Marina adjusts her hydrophone array, fine-tuning the underwater microphones to capture every nuance of their conversation. The sounds that fill her headphones now are nothing short of a symphony. Clicks and whistles, chirps and trills, each call as distinct as a human voice. She closes her eyes and lets the music wash over her, understanding that she is witness to one of nature's most sophisticated languages. The pod moves closer to the station, and Marina can see them clearly now through the thick glass. 20, perhaps 25 individuals, ranging from the pure white of the adults to the gentle gray of the younger whales. Their rounded heads, called melons, shift and change shape as they vocalize, each whale a living instrument in this underwater orchestra. A mother swims past with her calf tucked close to her side, their bodies moving in perfect synchrony. The calf's higher-pitched calls weave between its mother's deeper tones, creating a duet that speaks of bonds deeper than words. Marina watches as the mother gently nudges her young one, their skin touching in brief, tender contact that needs no translation. The hydrophones pick up layers of conversation Marina is only beginning to understand. There are the contact calls, those frequent whistles that seem to say, "I'm here, you're there, we're together." She recognizes the signature calls now, unique vocal patterns that serve as names, each whale announcing its identity to the pod. Through months of careful listening, she has begun to map the relationships within this community. An older male approaches the station's viewing window, his scarred hide telling stories of decades in these Arctic waters. He hovers there, seemingly as curious about Marina as she is about him. His calls are deeper, more measured, carrying the authority of age and experience. Through her headphones, Marina hears him answered by several others, their voices creating harmonies that seem to acknowledge his presence with respect. The playful energy of the younger whales adds brightness to the chorus. They chase each other in spiraling games, their excited calls punctuating the more measured conversation of the adults. One young whale discovers a piece of floating ice, nudging it with its melon, sharing its find with chittering sounds that Marina interprets as pure joy. She adjusts the recording equipment, knowing that every moment of this encounter is precious data, but also something far more valuable, a glimpse into the rich emotional lives of these Arctic ambassadors. The beluga calls create complex patterns in her headphones, some lasting just seconds, others building into longer phrases that seem to carry entire thoughts. A group of whales has discovered something interesting in the distance, their calls becoming more focused, more directed. Marina watches as they communicate about their find, their heads turning toward each other as they share information through sounds she cannot yet fully decode. The efficiency of their underwater conference amazes her. Decisions made and consensus reached through a language older than human civilization. The pod's social dynamics play out before her, like pages from an ancient book. She sees the protective postures of the mothers, the playful interactions of siblings, the respectful distance maintained around the elder whales. Each relationship is negotiated and maintained through their constant vocal dialogue, a culture preserved in sound. As the pod begins to move on, following whatever invisible paths guide them through their Arctic territory, their calls gradually fade to a gentle murmur in Marina's headphones. The last to leave is a young adult who hovers near the station for several long moments. Its farewell call is soft and musical, a sound that seems to carry acknowledgement of their brief interspecies connection. The water returns to its quiet state, but the memory of the beluga chorus lingers in the station like an echo. Marina sits back in her chair, her notebook filled with new observations, her heart filled with renewed wonder at the intelligence and warmth of these Arctic neighbors. In the gentle hum of the station's systems and the soft whisper of water against the hull, she can still hear traces of their music, a reminder that even in the vast loneliness of the polar sea, she is surrounded by community, by conversation, by the ancient songs that bind all life together beneath the ice. In the crystalline depths of the Arctic waters, Marina floats suspended between two worlds. Above her, the ice ceiling glows with a pale, ethereal light that filters down through the water like moonbeams through frosted glass. Below her, the ocean floor stretches into an endless blue-black mystery, punctuated only by the gentle drift of marine snow tiny particles that dance and swirl like underwater snowflakes. She has been listening for weeks now, her specially designed hydrophone capturing sounds that travel for thousands of miles through these pristine waters. At first, the whales' songs seemed like beautiful but incomprehensible melodies, haunting notes that rose and fell with the rhythm of the tides. But today, as she floats in perfect stillness, something shifts in her understanding. The first song comes from somewhere far to the north. It's a deep, resonant call that seems to carry the weight of ancient wisdom. Marina closes her eyes behind her diving mask and lets the sound wash over her. The frequency is low, almost felt rather than heard, vibrating through her body like a gentle massage. As she focuses, she begins to recognize patterns within the melody, repeated phrases that seem deliberate, purposeful. This is not just a song, she realizes with growing wonder. This is a message. Minutes pass, and then comes the response. From the east, Another whale's voice joins the conversation. The tone is different, higher, more melodic, with flourishes and variations that remind Marina of a master musician improvising on a familiar theme. The two voices weave together across the vast underwater landscape, creating a dialogue that spans hundreds of miles of ocean. Marina adjusts her position, turning slowly in the water to better triangulate the sounds. Her breathing apparatus releases gentle bubbles that rise toward the distant ice ceiling, each one catching the filtered light like tiny jewels. The water around her is so clear that she can see for what seems like miles in every direction, though the blue deepens gradually into an infinite, peaceful darkness. A third voice enters the chorus, then a fourth. Soon, Marina finds herself at the center of an underwater symphony that stretches across the entire Arctic basin. Each whale has its own distinct voice, its own musical signature, yet they all seem to be sharing information with remarkable precision. She begins to map the conversations in her mind. The whale to the north. She thinks of him as the elder. His songs carry news of rich feeding grounds where krill blooms in massive clouds. His melodies describe the taste of the water, the temperature, the depth where the best food can be found. Other whales respond with their own discoveries, sharing locations of safe resting spots and warnings of areas where the ice has shifted. As Marina listens more intently, she starts to recognize what can only be described as names. Certain sound patterns repeat when specific whales join the conversation, signature calls that identify individuals across the vast ocean. Mothers call to their calves with melodies that are uniquely theirs, and the young ones respond with variations of the same theme, learning the ancient language even as they swim. The water around her seems to pulse with the rhythm of these conversations. Particles of ice and organic matter drift past like gentle snow, creating an ever-changing backdrop to the underwater theater. Marina feels herself becoming part of this world, no longer an observer, but a participant in something far older and more profound than she had ever imagined. A particularly complex song draws her attention, layers upon layers of sound that seem to tell a complete story. She can almost visualize it. A family of whales traveling south, following ancient migration routes passed down through generations. The song describes landmarks along the way, underwater mountains, deep ocean trenches, areas where warm and cold currents meet to create rich feeding opportunities. But there's something more in these songs, something that makes Marina's heart quicken with recognition. Embedded within the practical information about food and navigation, she hears what can only be called emotion, joy in the reunion of family members, the contentment of a full belly after successful feeding, the peaceful satisfaction of floating together in the gentle currents, surrounded by loved ones. The whales are not just sharing information. They are sharing their lives, their experiences, their very essence across the vast emptiness of the ocean. Each song is a chapter in an endless book, written not in words but in pure sound, carried on currents that have flowed unchanged for millions of years. As the hours pass in this underwater cathedral, Marina begins to understand that she has stumbled upon something extraordinary. These are not random vocalizations or simple mating calls. This is a language as complex and nuanced as any human tongue, a communication system that spans continents and connects families across impossible distances. The songs continue around her, weaving stories that stretch back through time, carrying the wisdom of the depths to any who know how to listen. The water around the research station has grown quieter these past weeks, as if the ocean itself is holding its breath. Marina floats near the main observation window, her hydrophones spreading like gentle fingers into the darkening depths. October has arrived beneath the Arctic ice, bringing with it a subtle shift in the rhythm of the sea. She first notices them as shadows in the distance, dark shapes moving with purpose through the twilight waters. The narwhals arrive not as a thundering herd, but as whispered secrets, small family groups drifting through the ancient corridors of ice and current that have guided their kind for thousands of years. Marina adjusts her equipment with practiced care, her movements slow and deliberate so as not to disturb the approaching visitors. Through her headphones comes the first soft clicking, a gentle percussion that seems to emerge from the water itself. It is a sound both alien and achingly familiar, like hearing an old song played on unfamiliar instruments. The first family group glides past the station window, perhaps 20 feet away. A mother narwhal leads, her sleek gray body dappled with pale spots that catch the filtered sunlight streaming down from somewhere far above. Behind her swims a younger whale, smaller and darker, staying close to her protective shadow. And beside them both, a magnificent male, his ivory tusks spiraling forward like a living spear of moonlight. Marina has seen narwhals in photographs and videos countless times, but nothing has prepared her for the reality of their presence. They move with an unhurried grace, their flippers barely stirring the water, their tails providing the gentlest of propulsion. There is something almost ceremonial about their passage, as if they are not simply swimming, but performing some ancient ritual of return. The clicking grows more complex now, layered with meaning that Marina can sense, but not fully understand. She recognizes the basic structure: echolocation calls bouncing off the ice above, the seafloor below, mapping the world in sound. But woven through these practical communications is something deeper, richer. The whales are talking to each other, sharing information that spans generations. Through her hydrophones, Marina hears the conversation of the tusked male. His clicks are deeper, more resonant, carrying what sounds almost like authority. Perhaps he is the navigator, the keeper of the route. His tusk, she notices, bears the scars of many journeys, small nicks and scratches that speak of encounters with ice, with other tusks, with the countless obstacles of a life lived in the Arctic's embrace. Another group approaches from the north, then another. The migration is not a flood, but a gentle procession, each family maintaining its own space, its own rhythm. Some groups pause near the research station, the whales seeming to regard the strange metal structure with curious indifference. Their dark eyes, ancient and knowing, reflect the blue-green light that filters down through the ice. Marina finds herself holding her breath as a particularly large male approaches the observation window. His tusk is magnificent, nearly 8 feet long and twisted into a perfect spiral that seems to defy the physics of how bone should grow. For a moment, whale and human regard each other through the thick glass, two species separated by evolution, but connected by this moment of quiet recognition. The clicking conversations continue around her, a symphony of information being passed from whale to whale, family to family. Marina imagines she can hear fragments of meaning in the sounds, warnings about thin ice ahead, celebrations of good feeding grounds behind, perhaps even stories of other migrations, other years, other generations of narwhals who have traveled these same routes. As the afternoon deepens toward evening, more families pass by the station. Marina counts them carefully, noting their numbers, their directions, the compositions of their groups. But beyond the scientific data, she finds herself drawn into something more profound: the sense of witnessing a procession that has continued unchanged for millennia. The narwhal's tusks catch the last rays of sunlight filtering through the ice above, creating brief flashes of brilliance in the darkening water. These unicorns of the sea carry their spiraled horns not as weapons, but as badges of identity, each one unique, each one telling its own story of years spent navigating the Arctic's challenges. As the final group passes beyond her view, Marina remains at the observation window, listening to the fading clicks growing distant and soft. The narwhals continue their journey toward wintering grounds she can only imagine, carrying with them the accumulated wisdom of countless migrations, countless generations. In the growing quiet that follows their passage, Marina feels a deep sense of privilege to have witnessed this ancient ritual, to have been permitted this glimpse into a world that exists beyond human time, guided by instincts older than memory itself. The water around the station settles back into its patient stillness, but the memory of the narwhal's song lingers like an echo, a reminder of the mysteries that continue to unfold in the depths below the ice. The first whispers of winter arrive not as sound, but as silence. Marina notices it during her morning rounds through the research station. The way the ocean's voice has changed beneath the thickening ice. Where once the hydrophones captured the full symphony of Arctic waters, the distant calls of bowhead whales, the clicking conversations of narwhals, the haunting melodies that have become as familiar as her own heartbeat. Now there are longer pauses between the songs, spaces filled with the gentle creaking of ice as it stretches and settles above them. She moves through the underwater observation deck with practiced quiet, her bare feet silent against the polished metal floors. The great curved windows reveal a world transformed. The ice above has grown from a thin crystalline ceiling to a solid canopy, nearly 3 feet thick, filtering the autumn sunlight into an ethereal blue-green glow that dances across every surface of the station. Schools of Arctic cod drift past like living clouds, their silver bodies catching and scattering the filtered light in hypnotic patterns. In the main laboratory, Marina begins her ritual preparation for the long winter ahead. Each piece of equipment requires careful attention. The sensitive hydrophones that will be her only connection to the whale songs during the months of darkness. The recording devices that must function flawlessly in the extreme cold. The backup systems that will keep their underwater sanctuary warm and safe. Her hands move with gentle precision as she calibrates each instrument, testing connections, adjusting sensitivities for the different acoustics that winter will bring. The hydrophone array stretches out beneath the station like an invisible web, each sensor positioned to catch the faintest whale song from miles away. Marina knows that as the ice thickens and the ocean grows quieter, these songs will become more precious than ever. The whales that remain through the Arctic winter are the true inhabitants of this realm. The bowheads with their ancient wisdom, the belugas with their playful conversations, the occasional narwhal with its otherworldly calls echoing through the deep. She pauses at the main listening station, slipping on her headphones to check the current soundscape. The ocean greets her with its winter voice, deeper, more resonant, filled with the subtle harmonics created by sound traveling through ice-covered water. A distant bowhead whale is singing, its low, haunting melody rolling through the depths like a meditation. Marina closes her eyes and lets the song wash over her, feeling the vibrations in her chest, in her bones, as if the whale is singing directly to her soul. Through the speakers, she can hear her colleague, Dr. Hansen, moving quietly through the station above, his footsteps muffled by the thick insulation that keeps their underwater world comfortable. The gentle hum of the life support systems provides a constant, soothing backdrop. The circulation pumps that keep fresh air flowing, the heating elements that maintain their cozy temperature, the soft whir of computers processing the endless stream of data from the ocean around them. As the day progresses, Marina makes her rounds to each monitoring station, checking the thermal cameras that track the ice formation above, adjusting the external lights that will become so important during the months of polar night. The station feels more intimate now, cocooned beneath its growing ice ceiling. Every sound is softer, every movement more deliberate. Winter beneath the Arctic waters requires a different rhythm, a slower pace that matches the ocean's own seasonal heartbeat. In the late afternoon, though the distinction between day and night is already beginning to blur, Marina returns to her favorite listening post by the largest observation window. The ice above glows with the last traces of autumn sunlight, creating patterns of light that shift and dance like aurora trapped in crystal. She adjusts her headphones and settles into the comfortable chair that has become her throne in this underwater kingdom. A family of belugas passes by the window, their white bodies ghostly in the filtered light. She can hear their conversations through the hydrophones, soft clicks and whistles, a mother calling to her calf, the casual chatter of whales who know these waters as home. They seem unhurried, perfectly adapted to this world of ice and darkness that humans can only visit. As evening approaches, Marina begins her final preparations, ensuring all systems are secure for another night beneath the ice. The whales' songs continue their ancient patterns around her, some growing fainter as their singers journey south to warmer waters, others growing stronger as the true Arctic dwellers claim their winter territory. She knows that in the months ahead, these songs will be her closest companions, voices from the deep that will carry her through the long polar night. The station settles into its evening rhythm, warm and safe beneath the thickening ice, while above them the Arctic wind whispers across a world growing white and still. The ice above Marina's underwater world had grown thick and solid, transforming the ocean's surface into a crystalline ceiling that stretched endlessly in all directions. From her observation post deep beneath the Arctic waters, she could see the pale, greenish light filtering down through layers of frozen time, each beam carrying with it the weight of winter's quiet presence. It was December now, and the whale songs had taken on an entirely different character. Where once they had risen freely to the surface and beyond, now they moved through the water like ancient secrets, bouncing and bending through the changed acoustic landscape that winter had created. Marina pressed her hydrophone against the curved wall of her underwater habitat and listened as the sounds of the great whales reached her through pathways she was only beginning to understand. The songs seemed to travel in spirals now, wrapping around thermal layers and following invisible highways of temperature and salinity. A bowhead whale's deep, resonant call would begin somewhere far to the north, then echo off the underside of the ice sheet, creating haunting harmonies that layered one upon another like a celestial choir. The frozen barrier above acted as a vast sounding board, reflecting and amplifying the whale songs until they became something altogether more mysterious and ethereal. Marina had learned to distinguish between the direct songs and their ice-filtered companions. The original calls carried the clear intentions of the whale's navigation signals, social greetings, the complex melodies that spoke of family bonds and ancient migrations. But the echoes, the songs that had bounced off the ice and returned transformed, these held something else entirely. They seemed to carry the voice of the Arctic itself, as if the frozen landscape above was joining in the underwater symphony. She adjusted her recording equipment, capturing not just the whales' songs, but the subtle ways the winter ocean had changed their delivery. The water itself felt different now, denser and more alive with microscopic crystals that formed just below the freezing point. These tiny ice particles acted like countless small mirrors, each one reflecting fragments of whales' song in different directions, creating a shimmering cascade of sound that was both beautiful and otherworldly. Through her observation dome, Marina watched schools of Arctic cod move in slow, hypnotic patterns, their silver bodies catching the filtered light as they navigated by the same acoustic signals she was recording. The fish seemed to understand something about these winter songs that she was still learning. They moved in rhythm with the distant whale calls, as if participating in a conversation that spanned species and vast underwater distances. The temperature readings on her instruments showed the fascinating thermal layers that had developed under the ice. Warmer water from the deep ocean currents mixed with the frigid surface waters in complex patterns, creating acoustic channels that the whales appeared to know instinctively. A humpback's song, beginning in the deeper, warmer layers, would rise through these thermal gradients, its pitch and timbre shifting as it encountered each new temperature zone, until it reached Marina's listening post as something transformed and magical. She found herself developing a new appreciation for the intelligence of these great creatures. They had adapted their songs for the winter ocean, adjusting frequency and timing to take advantage of the acoustic properties that the ice created. Some calls were deliberately sent along specific pathways, while others seemed designed to create those haunting echoes that filled the underwater world with mysterious beauty. As evening approached, though day and night had little meaning in this land of polar winter, Marina prepared her daily log entry. The whale's songs were continuing through the deepest part of the Arctic year, proving that these waters never truly slept. The ice above might lock away the surface world, but beneath, in the blue-green twilight of the winter ocean, life continued its ancient rhythms, accompanied by songs that had echoed through these same waters for thousands of generations. Tonight, as she settled into her sleeping quarters, Marina would fall asleep to the sound of whale songs bouncing gently off the ice ceiling far above. Each echo a reminder that even in the heart of winter, the Arctic waters remained alive with wonder. The songs would continue through the long night, traveling their mysterious pathways through the frozen sea, carrying messages of survival, community, and the enduring beauty of life in one of Earth's most extraordinary environments. The great whales sang on, and the ice above listened, transforming their ancient melodies into something altogether more magical than either could create alone. The hydrophone drifts deeper into the Arctic waters, its sensitive membrane capturing the subtle vibrations that dance through the liquid darkness. Marina adjusts her headphones, watching the spectral analysis paint wavelengths of sound across her screen in gentle blues and greens. But today, something different emerges from the usual symphony of clicks and calls. A sound so deep, so resonant, that it seems to rise from the very soul of the ocean itself. The bowhead whale's voice reaches her first as a tremor, a vibration felt more than heard, rippling through 60 feet of frigid water to caress the hydrophone's delicate sensors. Then the full magnitude of the call unfolds. Low, mournful, magnificent in its ancient power, the frequency hovers at the very edge of human perception, a bass note so profound it seems to emanate from the Earth's core, carrying with it the weight of 2 centuries lived beneath these ice-locked waters. Marina leans forward, her breath creating small clouds in the research station's chilled air. Through her equipment, she can trace the whale's position, a massive shadow moving with deliberate grace through the underwater canyon below. The creature is enormous, perhaps 60 feet in length, its bulk cutting through the darkness with the steady rhythm of tides. Barnacles cluster along its great jaw like ancient coral growths, each one a testament to decades of migration through these polar seas. The bowhead's song continues, each note sustained for nearly a minute, the sound waves traveling for miles through the Arctic depths. Marina imagines the vibrations reaching other whales scattered across the Beaufort Sea, a language older than human civilization carrying messages of location, of loneliness, of endurance. She adjusts her recording equipment, ensuring every nuance of this prehistoric melody is captured for posterity. As the whale's call resonates through her headphones, Marina's mind drifts backward through time. This creature swimming below her may have been born when sailing ships first probed these northern waters, when the aurora borealis danced over a world untouched by industrial smoke. She pictures the bowhead as a calf, learning its first songs from a mother whose own voice carried melodies from an even earlier age, an unbroken chain of whale songs stretching back through generations. The spectral display shows harmonics layering beneath the primary call, subtle overtones that speak of individual identity, of family lineages, of stories passed down through whale song from mother to calf across the centuries. Marina has studied bowhead acoustics for 15 years, but this recording reveals complexities she has never encountered. Variations in pitch and rhythm that suggest not just communication, but something approaching music, approaching art. Through the hydrophone's feed, she can hear the whales breathing between songs, the explosive exhalation as it surfaces far above, followed by the slower, more deliberate intake of air that will sustain it through another deep dive. Each breath cycle speaks of patience cultivated over decades, of a life lived in rhythm with ice flows and seasonal migrations, unburdened by the frantic pace of shorter-lived creatures. The bowhead's call shifts, deepening impossibly further, and Marina realizes the whale is descending, its massive body settling into the comfortable darkness of the deep canyon. At this depth, pressure would crush human lungs, but the whale moves as easily as wind through grass, its anatomy perfectly adapted to these crushing depths where sunlight has never penetrated. Another voice joins the first, fainter, more distant, but unmistakably another bowhead responding across the miles. The two songs interweave, creating a duet that spans the breadth of the Arctic Sea. Marina adjusts her directional microphones, trying to capture both voices clearly. The responding whale seems younger, its call higher in pitch, less textured with the accumulated wisdom of centuries. As she listens to this prehistoric conversation, Marina reflects on the changes these ancient creatures have witnessed. The responding whale may have swum through waters once thick with wooden ships, while the elder's memories might stretch back to times when ice shelves extended much further south, when the aurora danced over unbroken white wilderness. Their songs carry the memory of the Arctic as it was, a living archive of environmental change preserved in whale song. The elder bowhead's call reaches a sustained crescendo, a note so pure and haunting that Marina feels tears gather at the corners of her eyes. There is something profoundly moving about this voice from the deep, a dignity that comes with having survived through decades of change, a wisdom earned through countless migrations between feeding and breeding grounds, through seasons of plenty and seasons of scarcity. Gradually, the whale's song fades, the massive creature moving beyond the range of her sensitive equipment. But the echo of its ancient melody lingers in Marina's headphones, and she knows that tonight, when the Arctic wind howls across the research station, she will still hear that deep, eternal song, the voice of the deep, carrying stories from a world that exists far beneath the surface of our hurried lives, where time moves in the rhythm of tides and seasons, and wisdom is measured not in years, but in centuries of patient survival beneath the ice. In the depths of the Arctic winter, when the sun has been absent for weeks and the ice above stretches like a thick, crystalline ceiling, Marina finds herself wrapped in the most profound silence she has ever known. The research station's instruments hum softly around her, their gentle electronic whispers the only company in these darkest hours of the polar night. The whales have grown quiet now. Their songs, which filled the summer months with haunting melodies that could travel for hundreds of miles through the clear Arctic waters, have diminished to occasional, distant calls. Like the land above, the ocean beneath has settled into winter's deep contemplation. Marina adjusts her headphones and leans back in her chair, listening to the vast emptiness that speaks its own kind of language. Through the hydrophones suspended in the black water below, she can hear the subtle creaking and groaning of the ice sheet as it shifts and settles. These sounds create a gentle percussion, like the slow breathing of some enormous, sleeping creature. Occasionally, a piece of ice breaks away somewhere in the distance, sending a soft, crackling whisper through the water that reaches her ears like the turning of pages in an ancient book. Marina has learned to find comfort in this quiet season. Where others might feel isolation, she has discovered a different kind of connection to the patience that the Arctic demands, to the rhythm of waiting that her research requires. She thinks of the whales somewhere beneath the ice, conserving their energy, moving slowly through the cold darkness, their massive hearts beating steadily in the silent depths. The temperature readings on her monitors show the water just above freezing, that perfect balance where life can still flow beneath the frozen surface. Marina imagines the whales' warm blood circulating through their enormous bodies, their thick layers of blubber protecting them from the cold that would be lethal to smaller creatures. They are perfectly adapted to this world of ice and darkness, these gentle giants who carry the songs of the sea. In her small, heated workspace, Marina sips warm tea from a thermos and watches the waveform displays on her screens. Most show the flat, steady lines of deep ocean quiet, but she knows to watch for the subtle variations, the distant pulse of a heartbeat, the whisper of movement through water, the soft exhalation of a whale surfacing to breathe at a distant break in the ice. Sometimes, in these silent hours, Marina feels as though she can hear the patience of the whales themselves. They are creatures that live by different rhythms than the hurried world above the ice. Their lives span decades. Their migrations follow patterns established over millennia. They teach her, through their quiet presence, that some of the most important work requires the willingness to wait, to listen, to be present in moments when nothing seems to be happening. The aurora borealis dances far above the ice, its green and silver light invisible to her here, but somehow felt nonetheless. As if the very air carries traces of that celestial beauty down through the frozen layers to where she sits, keeper of the whale songs, guardian of their winter silence. Marina adjusts the sensitivity on her equipment, fine-tuning the instruments that will catch even the faintest whale call should one emerge from the darkness. She has recordings from the summer months to analyze, catalogs of songs to organize and study. But in these quiet hours, her most important work is simply being present, being ready, maintaining the vigil that ensures no song goes unheard. A soft crackle in her headphones draws her attention, not a whale, but the distant sound of ice settling, the ocean floor shifting slightly under the immense weight above. These sounds, too, are part of the story she is here to document. The Arctic speaks in many voices, and the silence between the whale songs is as meaningful as the songs themselves. As the hours pass in this gentle darkness, Marina feels a deep sense of purpose in her solitude. She is a bridge between two worlds, the busy, bright world above the ice, where people move quickly and speak loudly, and this slower, deeper world where patience is a form of reverence and silence carries its own profound wisdom. The whales will sing again when the time is right. The ice will eventually break and shift, opening pathways for their ancient migrations. But for now, in these longest nights of winter, Marina keeps her quiet watch, surrounded by the peaceful breathing of the sea itself, waiting with the infinite patience of the Arctic, ready to capture the next gentle song that rises from the depths of this frozen world. The morning currents carried something different today, a series of sharp, metallic clicks that cut through the water like silver threads. Marina pressed her headphones closer, her pulse quickening with recognition. Orcas, the ocean's most sophisticated hunters, were approaching her listening post beneath the Arctic ice. She adjusted her hydrophones, rotating them slowly until the sounds sharpened into crystal clarity. The clicks weren't random. They formed intricate patterns, each burst lasting precisely timed intervals. Through her equipment, she could hear the mathematical precision of echolocation, sound waves bouncing off unseen objects and returning with detailed information about the underwater landscape ahead. The first voice belonged to the matriarch, her calls deeper and more resonant than the others. Marina had learned to identify the subtle differences in Orca dialects over the months, and this family spoke in the measured tones of the northern pod. The grandmother's sonar painted invisible pictures, a school of Arctic char moving in tight formation 300 meters ahead, their silver bodies glinting as they navigated between ice formations. 3 younger voices join the conversation. Their echolocation clicks faster, more excited. The adolescents were learning. Their sound bursts still imprecise compared to their grandmother's masterful technique. Marina smiled as she listened to what could only be described as underwater lessons. The elder orca demonstrating the perfect frequency and timing, while the youngsters practiced their acoustic skills. The family's coordination was breathtaking to witness through sound alone. The matriarch's calls grew softer, more strategic. She was positioning her family members, Marina realized, using a combination of vocal signals and echolocation to orchestrate their approach. The grandmother stationed herself on the far side of the char school, while 2 younger adults moved to flank the fish from the sides. Marina's instruments picked up the subtle changes in the orca's breathing patterns as they prepared. The rhythmic whoosh of their blowholes became more synchronized, their massive bodies moving in perfect harmony, despite being separated by hundreds of meters of dark water. Their echolocation clicks shifted frequency, becoming more focused, more intense, acoustic spotlights illuminating their prey with sound. The hunt began with remarkable gentleness, rather than a violent chase. It resembled an elegant underwater ballet. The orcas moved with calculated precision, their sonar continuously updating each family member on the char's exact position and movement patterns. Marina could hear how their echolocation adapted in real time, shorter, more rapid bursts when the fish scattered, longer, sweeping calls when herding them back together. The grandmother's role became clear as Marina listened to her steady stream of directional calls. She was the conductor of this aquatic orchestra, guiding her family's movements with acoustic signals that carried complex information. A series of rising clicks meant move left. Descending tones instructed dive deeper. Sharp, staccato bursts commanded hold position. What struck Marina most was the absence of urgency or aggression in their sounds. These apex predators approached their hunt with the calm confidence of masters at their craft. Their echolocation revealed not just the location of their prey, but also escape routes, water temperature gradients, and the subtle acoustic shadows cast by ice formations above. The younger orca's learning process was visible through their vocalizations. When one adolescent's sonar sweep missed the mark, the grandmother's gentle corrective calls guided them back on course. Marina could hear the family's patience in their acoustic exchanges. This was as much about education as it was about feeding. As the hunt progressed, the orca's echolocation became a symphony of cooperation. Their sound waves overlapped and complemented each other, creating a 3-dimensional acoustic map that no single whale could generate alone. Marina marveled at this collaborative intelligence, this family working as one organism with multiple sensory inputs. The char school's fate was sealed not by violence, but by the inexorable tightening of an acoustic net. The orca's coordinated sonar gradually compressed the fish into a smaller and smaller space, their escape routes systematically eliminated through careful positioning and patient maneuvering. When the moment came, it was announced by a subtle shift in the orca's vocalizations. Satisfaction, completion, success. The hunt concluded with the same grace it had begun, the family's echolocation clicks returning to their casual, conversational rhythms. Marina listened as they shared their catch, their calls now warm with contentment and familial bonds. As the orca family moved on, their voices fading into the vastness of the Arctic Ocean, Marina sat in wondering silence. She had witnessed something extraordinary through sound alone. Intelligence, cooperation, and the profound bonds that connect these remarkable creatures. The grandmother's final echolocation sweep passed over Marina's listening station like a gentle acknowledgement. As if the great whale knew, She had been an honored audience to their ancient ritual. The water around her settled back into its quieter rhythms, but the memory of the orca's sophisticated hunt would remain forever etched in both her recordings and her heart. In the depths of the Arctic waters, where sunlight has long since faded into memory, Marina floats in perfect stillness, her hydrophones capturing the most extraordinary symphony she has ever encountered. After months beneath these ancient waters, she has learned to hear what few humans ever will: the individual voices of whales calling across the vastness of the ocean. Tonight, she recognizes the deep, resonant call of Grandfather Blue, a massive blue whale whose voice carries a distinctive tremor at the end of each phrase. His song travels through the water like liquid thunder, each note carefully crafted and purposeful. Marina has been listening to him for 3 weeks now, and she knows he is searching. His calls sweep across hundreds of miles of ocean, patient and persistent, waiting for an answer that comes from somewhere beyond the horizon. The ocean responds with whispers and echoes. Marina adjusts her equipment, fine-tuning the frequencies to better capture the delicate conversations happening in the depths. Through her headphones, she hears the reply, faint but unmistakable. It is Moonbeam, a younger blue whale whose voice rises and falls like gentle waves. She is answering Grandfather Blue from what Marina calculates must be nearly 200 miles away. Yet their conversation flows as naturally as if they were swimming side by side. These are not random calls, echoing through the void. This is family. This is connection, spanning distances that would take days for the whales to cross. Marina closes her eyes and lets herself sink deeper into their underwater world, where love and kinship are measured not in proximity, but in the faithfulness of response to a distant call. The conversation shifts and changes, becoming more complex as other voices join in. Marina recognizes the haunting melody of winter's dawn, a humpback whale whose song she first heard near the ice floes weeks ago. His voice weaves between the deeper notes of the blue whales, creating harmonies that seem to rise from the very soul of the ocean. He adds his own story to their underwater chorus, news of krill blooms to the north, safe passages through the ice, warnings of distant storms. As Marina listens, she begins to understand that she is witnessing something ancient and sacred. These whales are not just communicating. They are maintaining the invisible threads that bind their community together across the vast Arctic waters. Each song carries information, emotion, history. Each response strengthens bonds that have existed for generations. A new voice enters the conversation, one that makes Marina's heart skip with recognition and wonder. It is the gentle call of ocean's memory, an ancient bowhead whale whose voice carries the weight of centuries. Bowhead whales can live for over 200 years, and in ocean's memories song, Marina hears echoes of every season, every migration, every change these waters have witnessed. Her voice is like the slow creaking of ancient ice, beautiful and profound. The conversation continues for hours, voices joining and fading as the whales move through their underwater world. Marina realizes she is listening to something like a neighborhood gathering, where family members scattered across thousands of square miles of ocean come together through song to share their lives, their journeys, their love. Sometimes the conversations are simple. A mother's call to her calf, swimming perhaps 50 miles away, but still within the protective circle of her voice. The calf responds with eager, higher-pitched notes, sharing discoveries of new feeding grounds, or simply reassuring his mother that he is safe and growing strong. Other exchanges are more complex, layered with harmonics and rhythms that speak of deeper relationships. Marina hears what might be siblings, their voices intertwining in patterns that suggest shared memories and experiences. She listens to what could be old friends, their songs overlapping and complementing each other with the easy familiarity of those who have traveled these waters together for decades. The ocean amplifies their voices, carrying each note across incredible distances with perfect clarity. The cold Arctic waters become a vast communication network, where temperature layers and underwater canyons create natural sound channels that connect whale communities across the entire polar region. As the hours pass, Marina finds herself becoming part of this underwater congregation. Her presence is gentle and unobtrusive, a quiet listener welcomed into conversations that bridge not just distance, but species. She floats in the darkness, surrounded by voices that speak of love, family, and the enduring bonds that connect all living things. In the profound stillness of the Arctic depths, Marina understands that she is witnessing one of nature's most beautiful truths. That connection transcends physical space, that love travels at the speed of sound through water, and that even in the vastness of the ocean, no one who calls out with sincerity ever truly sings alone. The whale's songs continue through the night, a gentle lullaby of connection echoing through the peaceful darkness of the deep. Beneath the shifting ceiling of Arctic ice, Marina floats in the eternal twilight that has embraced her world for countless months. The water around her holds that familiar deep blue-black that speaks of winter's long reign. Yet something has begun to change. Above, filtering through layers of ancient ice, the faintest suggestion of light begins to paint the frozen surface with the softest amber glow. She drifts deeper, her breath creating gentle streams of silver bubbles that rise like tiny prayers toward the distant surface. The water temperature remains constant in her insulated suit, but she can sense the subtle shifts happening in this vast, underwater cathedral. The ice above her groans and whispers, ancient songs of transformation, as microscopic changes begin their slow dance toward spring. A low, resonant call echoes through the water, and Marina's heart quickens with recognition. The bowhead whales have been her companions through the darkest months, their songs weaving through her dreams and waking hours alike. But this call carries something different, a note of anticipation, of ancient knowledge stirring to life. She adjusts her position, floating motionless as the sound waves wash over her. The whale appears from the depths like a living mountain, its massive form cutting through the water with surprising grace. Its barnacle-encrusted head catches what little light penetrates these depths, creating patterns of shadow and illumination across its weathered skin. Marina has come to know this particular whale, an ancient female whose songs carry the wisdom of decades beneath these ice fields. As the great creature passes, Marina notices the subtle changes in its behavior. Where once the whale moved with the unhurried pace of winter survival, now there's a purposefulness to its movements. Its massive flippers beat with renewed energy, and its breathing pattern has shifted from the deep, conserving rhythms of the polar night to something more active, more alive. The midnight sun is returning, though here in the depths, its influence arrives not as light, but as a stirring in the very soul of the Arctic. The endless night that has blanketed this world is beginning its slow retreat, and every living thing beneath the ice responds to this ancient rhythm, even in the perpetual darkness of the ocean floor. Marina follows the whale at a respectful distance, her movements creating barely a ripple in the cold water. Around her, the seafloor shows its own signs of awakening. Tiny creatures that have remained dormant in the sediment begin to stir, their movements creating small clouds of particles that dance in her diving lights like underwater snow. The whale's song changes, becoming more complex, more varied. These are not the simple, repetitive calls of winter communication, but something richer, a layered composition that speaks of journeys to come, of feeding grounds that lie hundreds of miles to the north, of the great migration that will soon begin as the ice breaks apart and creates passages to summer waters. Other calls answer from the distance, a chorus of voices joining in this underwater symphony. Marina counts at least 6 different whales, each adding their voice to the growing conversation. The water itself seems to thrum with their communications, carrying these ancient messages across vast distances through the liquid darkness. She closes her eyes and lets herself simply drift, becoming part of this moment of transition. The whale's songs wrap around her like a blanket, their deep frequencies resonating through her body, through her bones, connecting her to something far larger than herself. This is why she came here, to witness these moments of profound natural wonder that few humans will ever experience. Above, though she cannot see it, the first hints of the returning sun paint the ice with the faintest blush of light. The polar night is ending, though slowly, gradually, in the patient way of the Arctic. Spring will not arrive with sudden warmth, but with this gentle promise of longer days, of ice that will eventually crack and shift, of waters that will flow once again with the ancient patterns of migration and renewal. The great whale's song reaches a crescendo, then fades to a gentle murmur as the creature continues its journey through the depths. Marina remains suspended in the water, watching until the whale's massive form disappears into the darkness beyond her lights. The silence that follows is not empty, but full, pregnant with the promise of changes to come. She begins her slow ascent toward the surface, her heart full of the magic she has witnessed. The midnight sun is returning, bringing with it the eternal cycle of renewal that defines this harsh and beautiful world. And she has been here to hear its first whispered songs, carried on the voices of the ancient whales who know these waters better than any living thing on Earth. The first hint of spring arrives not as warmth, but as sound. Deep beneath the Arctic waters, Marina floats in her research pod, headphones pressed against her ears, when she hears it. A low, resonant groan that seems to rise from the very bones of the earth. The ice above is beginning its ancient conversation with the changing season. She adjusts her hydrophones, those sensitive underwater ears that have become extensions of her own hearing over these many months. The ocean around her fills with a symphony unlike anything she has ever recorded. This is not the gentle cracking of thin ice on a pond, but the thunderous voice of an entire frozen sea awakening from its winter slumber. The sounds begin as whispers. Tiny fractures thread through the ice ceiling above, creating delicate crystalline chimes that ring through the water like distant wind chimes. Marina closes her eyes and lets these subtle melodies wash over her. Each crack is unique, a singular note in an emerging composition that will build and swell as the days grow longer. As she listens, the whispers grow bolder. What began as gentle tinkling transforms into more pronounced snaps and pops. The ice sheet, several feet thick and stretching endlessly in all directions, begins to voice its surrender to the approaching spring. Each sound carries through the water with perfect clarity, amplified by the ocean's natural acoustics. Marina has learned to distinguish between the geological and the biological, between the voice of the earth and the songs of its creatures. The ice speaks in percussive bursts, sharp cracks that echo and fade, deep groans that rumble like distant thunder, sudden rifle-shot snaps that pierce the underwater quiet. These are the sounds of immense forces at work, of pressure releasing and structures shifting under the patient persistence of solar warmth. But threading through this geological symphony, she can still hear them. The whales, their songs weave between the ice sounds like familiar melodies in a complex orchestral piece. A bowhead whale calls from the east, its low-frequency moan rising and falling with the patience of centuries. The whale's voice carries a different quality than the ice, warmer somehow, more intentional, shaped by breath and purpose rather than pressure and fracture. Hours pass as Marina documents this extraordinary acoustic event. The ice breaking intensifies as the day progresses. What began as individual cracks becomes a continuous dialogue between countless pieces of ice, each section responding to the movements and pressures of its neighbors. The sounds multiply and overlap, squeaks and squeals, groans and rumbles, sharp reports and long, drawn-out moans. She records it all, her equipment capturing frequencies both below and above human hearing. The lowest sounds, those felt more than heard, vibrate through her body as she floats in her pod. These are the voices of massive ice sheets grinding against each other, of pressure ridges collapsing, of winter's architecture slowly dismantling itself. Through her headphones, Marina can map the breaking ice by sound alone. A particularly loud series of cracks tells her of a major fracture opening somewhere to the north. A grinding, scraping sound speaks of ice flows beginning to rotate and shift. The percussion of smaller breaks creates a rhythmic backdrop, like rain on a tin roof, as countless minor fractures web across the ice field above. Yet even in this cacophony, the whale's songs persist. A beluga's high whistle cuts through the deeper ice sounds with crystalline clarity. Two narwhals exchange clicking conversations, their vocalizations sharp and precise against the chaotic background. The whales, she realizes, have been listening to this symphony for millions of years. They know how to speak between the breaks, how to time their calls for maximum clarity, how to use the changing acoustic landscape to their advantage. As evening approaches, the breaking symphony reaches its crescendo. The ice field above Marina transforms from a solid ceiling into a shifting mosaic of floating plates. Each movement creates new sounds: the splash of ice chunks falling into open water, the hollow knocking of floes bumping together, the whispered rush of water flowing into newly opened channels. Marina removes her headphones for a moment and simply floats in the increasing darkness. Even through the walls of her pod, she can feel the vibrations of the breaking ice. The ocean itself has become a resonating chamber, carrying the sounds of transformation across vast distances. When she replaces her headphones, the whale's songs seem clearer now, more prominent against the settling ice sounds. The whales are reclaiming their acoustic space, their voices rising confidently as the frozen barriers that muffled their winter calls begin to fragment and drift apart. This is the sound of renewal, Marina thinks as she drifts peacefully beneath the breaking ice. Above her, winter releases its grip one crack at a time, while below, the ancient songs continue, patient and eternal, weaving through the symphony of change like threads of continuity in a world forever in motion. The ice speaks of endings, but the whales sing of things that never truly end, only transform, adapt, and continue their timeless journey through the deep. The vast expanse of Arctic water stretches endlessly around you as you float in your observation chamber, 30 feet beneath the surface. The morning light filters down through the ice-cold water in gentle, shifting columns of pale blue and silver. You are Marina, the whale's songkeeper, and today marks a moment you have been waiting for all season long: the arrival of the gray whales. In the distance, a low rumble begins to build. Not quite sound and not quite vibration, but something that seems to travel through both the water and your very bones. You adjust your hydrophones with practiced precision, your breathing slow and steady as you prepare to witness one of nature's most remarkable journeys. The gray whales are coming. The first shape emerges from the darker waters ahead, like a living mountain, moving through liquid space. 45 feet of barnacle-encrusted magnificence glides past your observation point, its massive flippers cutting through the water with surprising grace. The whale's skin tells stories: patches of white scars from barnacles, the weathered texture of countless miles traveled, the deep gray color that gives these gentle giants their name. You watch in quiet wonder as the whale's breathing creates a rhythm all its own. Every 3 to 5 minutes, the massive head breaks the surface far above you, and you can imagine the explosive breath, the brief moment of connection with the world of air and sky before diving back into the blue sanctuary below. This whale has already traveled thousands of miles from the warm lagoons of Mexico's Baja California, where it spent winter months in the shallow, protected waters. Behind the first whale, Another appears, then another. A small pod of 5 gray whales moves past your observation station, like ships on an ancient trade route, following pathways carved not in stone, but in genetic memory, in the pull of seasons, and the call of abundant feeding grounds that await in the Arctic waters ahead. The mother whale in the group carries herself with particular purpose. Somewhere behind her, swims a calf born just months ago in those distant Mexican lagoons. A baby whale now learning the rhythm of this eternal migration, this twice-yearly journey of 12,000 miles that its species has undertaken for thousands of generations. The calf stays close to its mother's side, matching her steady pace, learning the deep currents and the secret highways of the ocean. As the whales pass, you begin to hear their songs, not the complex melodies of humpback whales, but the subtle communications of gray whales, low-frequency calls that travel for miles underwater, keeping the scattered members of the migration in loose contact across the vast spaces of the sea. The sounds are like gentle moans, soft grumbles, the conversation of old friends on a familiar journey. You close your eyes and let yourself become part of this ancient rhythm, the steady beat of massive hearts, pumping blood through bodies the size of school buses, the whisper of water flowing around streamlined forms, the occasional creak and click of barnacles shifting on weathered skin. This is the soundtrack of endurance, of a journey that began before the first human ever gazed upon the ocean. Through your hydrophones, you can hear the whales' determination made audible. There is no hurry in their movement, no panic or urgency, just the steady, relentless progress of creatures who have been making this journey since before the ice ages shaped the coastlines they follow. They swim with the patience of mountains, the persistence of tides, carrying within their massive bodies the wisdom of countless generations. One whale pauses near your observation chamber, perhaps curious about this strange addition to its familiar route. For a moment that feels suspended in time, you and the whale regard each other across the species divide. Its small eye, surrounded by barnacles and scars, seems to hold depths of knowledge about currents and weather patterns, about the taste of Arctic krill and the warmth of Mexican shallows, about the rhythm of seasons measured not in months, but in thousands of miles traveled. Then, with a gentle movement of its powerful tail, the whale rejoins its companions. The pod continues northward, following the invisible map written in their genes, guided by magnetic fields and water temperatures, by the position of stars reflected on the ocean's surface, and the memory of countless generations who have swum this route before them. As their songs fade into the distance, you remain floating in the quiet aftermath of their passage. The water around you still holds traces of their presence, the lingering vibrations of their calls, the subtle displacement of currents around their massive bodies, the sense of having witnessed something both ordinary and miraculous. Above you, the Arctic light continues its slow dance through the water, and you know that tomorrow will bring new travelers, new songs, new chapters in the endless story of migration that plays out beneath these ancient, ice-touched waters. The gray whales swim on, carrying their patience and purpose toward feeding grounds that await, their journey a testament to the quiet endurance that moves mountains and shapes oceans, one steady stroke at a time. The ice above shifts with gentle groans as spring arrives in the Arctic waters, and Marina feels the subtle changes rippling through her underwater world. The water temperature has risen just enough to stir something ancient and profound in the whales around her research station. She adjusts her hydrophones with practiced care, knowing that the season of courtship songs is about to begin. Through the crystal-clear Arctic waters, she watches as the first humpback whale appears in the distance, its massive form moving with surprising grace through the blue-green depths. The whale is a mature male, his long pectoral fins catching the filtered sunlight that streams down from the surface ice. Marina holds her breath, waiting for what she knows will come. Then it begins a sound so low and haunting that it seems to emerge from the very soul of the ocean itself. The whale's song starts as a deep, resonant moan that travels through the water like a prayer, vibrating through Marina's body and settling in her chest. She quickly activates her recording equipment, her fingers moving with reverent precision across the controls. The song builds slowly, layers upon layers of sound weaving together in patterns that seem both ancient and completely new. Low-frequency pulses mix with higher whistles and clicks, creating a symphony that no human composer could imagine. Marina closes her eyes and lets the music wash over her, feeling privileged to witness this most intimate of ocean rituals. Another male joins from the depths below, his voice harmonizing with the first in a duet that spans octaves beyond human hearing. The two whales circle each other in a slow, ceremonial dance, their songs intertwining like ribbons of sound in the water. Marina watches through her observation window as their massive forms glide past, each movement deliberate and graceful, each note of their song carrying meaning she can only guess at. The complexity of their vocalizations astounds her, even after years of study. These are not simple calls, but elaborate compositions that can last for over an hour, with themes and variations that repeat and evolve like movements in a classical symphony. The whales remember their songs across vast distances and long separations, carrying melodies that may have originated decades ago and traveled across entire ocean basins. A third whale approaches, this one a female, and the dynamic of the songs shifts immediately. The two males' voices become more urgent, more elaborate, as if each is trying to outdo the other in the beauty and complexity of his offering. Their songs overlap and compete, creating moments of haunting harmony, followed by periods where each singer seems to be reaching for something beyond the other's capability. Marina adjusts her equipment to capture the full range of frequencies, from the subsonic pulses that can travel for hundreds of miles through the ocean to the delicate whistles that seem to shimmer in the water around her station. She knows that some of these sounds are below the threshold of human hearing, felt more than heard, vibrating through the whale's body and into the surrounding sea. The female whale moves closer to Marina's observation post, and she can see the intelligence in the creature's ancient eye as it regards her briefly before turning its attention back to the singing males. There is something deeply moving about this moment, the recognition that she is witnessing a ritual older than civilization, a language more sophisticated than any human tongue. As the songs continue, Marina notices the subtle variations and improvisations within the structure. Like jazz musicians building on familiar themes, each whale adds his own flourishes and interpretations to the basic patterns. Some phrases are repeated exactly, while others are embellished with new trills and variations that seem to surprise even the singers themselves. The water around her fills with the music of courtship, and Marina realizes she is listening to something that connects these creatures across not just space, but time. These songs are cultural inheritance, passed down through generations of whales, carrying within them the accumulated wisdom and artistry of centuries. She watches as the female whale finally makes her choice, moving closer to one of the males whose song seems to have particularly moved her. The chosen male's voice becomes softer, more intimate, while the other gradually fades into silence and disappears into the blue depths. Marina continues recording as the pair swim together, their songs now a gentle duet that speaks of connection and understanding. The music softens to a whisper, then fades entirely as the whales move beyond the range of her hydrophones, leaving her alone with the gentle sounds of the Arctic Sea and the memory of their extraordinary performance. In the peaceful quiet that follows, Marina carefully saves her recordings, knowing she has captured something precious, a glimpse into a world of communication so sophisticated and beautiful that it humbles her completely. The songs will continue throughout the season, each one unique yet part of an eternal pattern that connects all whales across all oceans. A reminder that the sea holds mysteries far beyond human understanding. 17 months beneath the Arctic's crystalline ceiling, and Marina had learned to listen with more than her ears. The hydrophone array stretched like invisible fingers through the polar waters, catching whispers that would otherwise dissolve into the ocean's endless conversation. This morning, as pale sunlight filtered through the ice above in shafts of amber and blue, she detected something new. A frequency so subtle it was almost silence itself. The minke whales had arrived. Unlike their magnificent cousins, the humpbacks with their operatic areas or the blue whales with their earth-shaking bass notes, the minks spoke in murmurs. Marina adjusted her headphones, fine-tuning the sensitive equipment to capture these most delicate of ocean voices. Through the observation bubble's thick glass, she watched the water shimmer with an ethereal quality, each droplet of light dancing as it descended from the surface 40 feet above. The first mink song came as a gentle pulse, barely distinguishable from the rhythm of her own heartbeat. These were the ocean's introverts, preferring the company of one or two companions rather than the grand congregations of other baleen whales. Marina smiled, understanding their preference for solitude. She too had found peace in the quiet spaces between sounds, in the moments when the sea held its breath. Her fingers moved across the recording console with practiced grace, each adjustment made with the reverence of someone handling sacred music. The minks' calls registered as soft clicks and low-frequency hums, conversations that required patience to decode. Where a humpback whale might announce its presence across hundreds of miles, a mink whale whispered its thoughts to those willing to come close and listen carefully. Through her headphones, Marina could hear the layered symphony of Arctic life, the distant percussion of shifting ice, the gentle rustle of kelp forests swaying in the current, and beneath it all, the mink's quiet presence. One whale, perhaps a young female, sent out a series of soft pulses. A greeting, Marina had learned, or perhaps simply an acknowledgement that another soul shared this vast blue space. The research station's gentle hum provided a comforting backdrop as Marina settled deeper into her observation routine. Her notebook lay open beside her, pages filled with careful sketches of wave patterns and frequency charts that looked more like abstract art than scientific data. Each mink whale had its own vocal signature, as unique as a fingerprint, and Marina had begun to recognize individual voices across the weeks of their residency. A larger shadow passed near the observation window, moving with the unhurried grace that marked all mink whale behavior. These creatures, reaching lengths of 30 feet, possessed an elegance that spoke of efficiency rather than grandeur. Their streamlined bodies cut through the water with minimal disturbance, leaving barely a trace of their passage except for the gentle songs they shared. Marina closed her eyes and let the acoustic landscape wash over her. The mink calls created a kind of meditation, their soft repetition inducing a state of profound calm. She imagined the whales as they moved through their underwater realm, navigating by sound and instinct through waters that had known their kind for millions of years. Their presence here, in this remote corner of the Arctic, spoke of ancient wisdom and patient survival. The hydrophone picked up a new pattern, two minks calling back and forth in what could only be described as conversation. The calls overlapped slightly, creating harmonies that seemed almost accidental in their beauty. Marina adjusted the recording levels, ensuring every nuance would be preserved for researchers who might study these interactions decades from now, long after the ice had shifted and the whales had continued their mysterious migrations. As the Arctic day stretched toward evening, the quality of light in the water began to change. The bright silver of midday gave way to deeper blues and soft greens, colors that seemed to enhance the mink's gentle presence. Their songs, too, seemed to shift with the changing light, becoming even more subdued as the underwater world prepared for the long polar twilight. Marina found herself synchronizing her breathing with the rhythm of the whale calls, each exhalation timed to match the gentle pulse of Mink's song. This was what she had come here to find, not just the grand spectacle of Arctic wildlife, but these moments of perfect connection between human observer and ocean dweller. The minks asked nothing of her except her attention, offering in return a glimpse into a way of being that valued presence over performance, whispers over shouts. In the growing dusk beneath the ice, Marina continued her patient vigil, knowing that tomorrow would bring new songs, new conversations, new opportunities to witness the quiet dignity of creatures who had chosen subtlety as their way of moving through the world. The first light of the retreating polar winter filters down through the crystal-clear Arctic waters, painting everything in shades of pale blue and silver. Marina floats suspended in her observation chamber, 60 feet beneath the surface, where the ocean's secrets unfold in gentle whispers and ancient songs. The ice above has begun its slow retreat, and with it comes a transformation that fills the underwater world with quiet celebration. The hydrophone arrays surrounding her workspace capture the subtle changes first a shift in the water's acoustic signature as vast sheets of ice drift apart, creating new channels and pathways. The ocean breathes differently now, its voice carrying farther, deeper, with a clarity that speaks of open water returning after months of frozen silence. Marina adjusts her headphones and settles into her listening position, knowing that today will bring discoveries. Then she hears at the first tentative call of a humpback whale, rising from the depths like a gentle greeting to the changing season. The sound is different from the winter songs she has grown accustomed to, carrying notes of anticipation and something that can only be described as excitement. The whale's voice rises and falls in melodic phrases, each note carefully crafted and purposeful, as if announcing something wonderful to the vast underwater community. More voices join in, creating a chorus that reverberates through the water column. These are not the sparse, conservation-minded calls of winter survival, but something richer, more elaborate. The whales are singing of abundance, their voices carrying news that spreads through the water like ripples from a dropped stone. Marina closes her eyes and lets the sounds wash over her, translating the complex harmonies into the story they tell. Below the whales, she can sense the reason for their celebration. The retreating ice has exposed vast feeding grounds that have remained locked away for months, and now the Arctic waters bloom with life. Microscopic phytoplankton dance in spiraling clouds, their presence creating the foundation for an underwater feast. The plankton attract krill in massive, swirling congregations, living galaxies of tiny crustaceans that pulse and flow like underwater aurora. A bowhead whale's call joins the symphony, its deep, resonant voice carrying for miles beneath the ice. The sound is so low that Marina feels it as much as hears it, a gentle vibration that seems to harmonize with her own heartbeat. The bowhead sings of ancient knowledge, of countless springs when the ice has retreated and the feeding grounds have revealed their treasures. Its song carries the wisdom of decades, perhaps centuries, woven into notes that speak of patience rewarded and abundance shared. The hydrophones pick up the subtle sounds of feeding, the gentle whoosh of baleen plates, filtering massive quantities of water, the soft splash of flukes as whales position themselves in the richest patches of krill. These sounds blend with the ongoing songs, creating a peaceful soundtrack of satisfaction and plenty. There is no urgency here, no competition, only the quiet contentment of creatures who have weathered the lean months and now find themselves in paradise. Marina records each nuance, each subtle variation in the whale's vocalizations. She notices how the younger whale's calls carry higher notes of pure joy, while the older animals sing with deeper tones of gratitude and recognition. The matriarchs add complex harmonic layers that seem to coordinate the group's movements, guiding them to the richest feeding areas with songs that map the underwater landscape in sound. The water around her observation post comes alive with gentle movement as more whales arrive at the feeding grounds. Their massive forms glide past like living submarines, dark silhouettes against the brightening water above. Each whale adds its voice to the growing chorus, contributing to a song that celebrates not just individual discovery, but community abundance. As Marina continues to listen, she realizes she is witnessing something profound, an annual ritual of renewal that has played out in these waters for millennia. The whales' songs speak of cycles within cycles, of lean times followed by plenty, of the deep trust these ancient creatures place in the rhythms of their world. Their voices carry no anxiety about when the abundance might end, only gratitude for what is present now. The acoustic landscape grows richer by the hour as more species join the celebration. Beluga whales add their distinctive calls, creating counterpoint melodies that weave between the deeper songs of their larger cousins. Narwhals contribute their own unique vocalizations, clicks and whistles that paint detailed pictures of the underwater terrain and the location of the richest feeding opportunities. Marina floats in her chamber, surrounded by this symphony of abundance, feeling privileged to witness such intimate moments in the lives of these magnificent creatures. The retreat of the ice has not just opened feeding grounds, it has unleashed a celebration of life that fills the Arctic waters with songs of joy, gratitude, and the eternal promise of renewal that comes with each changing season. The morning begins with a familiar hum through the station walls, the deep, resonant calls of pilot whales approaching from the northeast. Marina adjusts her hydrophones, feeling that familiar flutter of anticipation as the underwater microphones pick up the complex symphony of voices drawing nearer. These are not the solitary songs she's grown accustomed to, but rather a rich tapestry of communication that speaks of community, of bonds that run deeper than the Arctic waters themselves. Through the observation window, Marina watches as shadows begin to materialize in the blue-green depths. First one, then two. Then suddenly the water seems alive with dark, graceful forms. The pilot whale pod moves as a single entity, their streamlined bodies cutting through the water with an elegance that speaks of millions of years of evolution. Each whale maintains its position relative to the others with mathematical precision, as if connected by invisible threads of understanding. The matriarch leads from the front, her massive bulk, nearly 20 feet of muscle and intelligence, moving with surprising grace. Behind her, the pod follows in loose formation. Mothers with calves tucked close to their sides, adolescents practicing the complex social dynamics they'll need as adults, and elder whales whose scarred hides tell stories of decades beneath these frozen seas. Marina counts 43 individuals, their dark forms creating shifting patterns against the lighter water below. The sounds they make are unlike anything else in the ocean, where humpback whales sing their elaborate melodies and blue whales call across vast distances. Pilot whales engage in constant conversation. The hydrophones capture a steady stream of clicks, whistles, and pulsed calls, each sound carrying meaning, each exchange serving to strengthen the invisible bonds that hold this community together. Marina recognizes the signature whistles, unique vocal fingerprints that allow each whale to identify itself to the others. Like names being called across a crowded room, these sounds weave through the water, creating a network of identity and belonging. A mother swims close to the observation window, her calf shadowing her every movement. The baby, perhaps born just months ago, stays within touching distance of its mother's flank. Marina watches as the mother adjusts her position slightly, accommodating the youngster's need for closeness while maintaining her place in the pod's formation. The calf attempts its own vocalizations, squeaky, imperfect copies of the adult calls. The mother responds immediately, her voice gentle and encouraging, as if praising the effort. The social dynamics playing out before Marina are mesmerizing in their complexity. She observes as two juveniles engage in what appears to be play, their bodies spiraling around each other in slow, graceful dances. Their calls become more animated, almost laughing in their tonal quality. An elder whale nearby seems to supervise, occasionally adding its own voice to the mix, perhaps offering guidance or simply enjoying the youngster's exuberance. As the pod continues its journey, Marina notices how they navigate together. When one whale adjusts its depth, the others follow suit, maintaining their cohesion through constant vocal contact. The echolocation clicks create a shared map of their environment, each whale contributing to and benefiting from the collective understanding of what lies ahead. It's a form of cooperation, so seamless that it appears almost telepathic. The matriarch's calls carry particular authority, her voice cutting through the chatter of the pod with unmistakable command. When she signals a change in direction, the response is immediate but unhurried. 42 other whales adjust their course in a fluid wave of movement, each maintaining their social connections even as they follow their leader's guidance. Marina marvels at this display of trust and social order, so different from the solitary existence of many other whale species. A group of females with calves moves through the center of the pod, protected on all sides by other family members. The mothers exchange frequent calls, sharing information about their young ones, coordinating their movements to ensure no calf falls behind. Marina watches as one mother gently nudges her calf back into position with her massive pectoral fin, the gesture tender despite its size. The acoustic environment created by the pod is rich beyond description. Layered conversations occur simultaneously at different frequencies and volumes, creating a three-dimensional soundscape that fills the water around them. Marina's equipment captures it all: the intimate exchanges between mothers and calves, the playful banter of juveniles, the authoritative announcements of the matriarch, and the steady background of echolocation clicks that keeps the pod oriented in their underwater world. As gradually as they appeared, the pilot whales begin to fade into the distance. Their voices grow fainter, the shadows becoming less distinct against the darkening water. But the impression they leave lingers in the station's quiet chambers, a reminder that in the vast loneliness of the Arctic Ocean, community endures. Marina adjusts her recordings, knowing that tonight she will listen again to their conversations, learning the subtle languages of connection that bind these remarkable creatures together beneath the endless ice. Beneath the Arctic waters, where the summer sun filters down in shafts of liquid gold, Marina floats in perfect stillness. Her hydrophones drift like patient sentries in the crystalline depths, waiting to capture the most precious sounds of the ocean's vast symphony. Above her, the ice has retreated to distant margins, leaving corridors of open water that shimmer with life and possibility. The first call reaches her equipment just after dawn, a low, resonant hum that seems to vibrate through the water itself. It's a mother's voice, deep and rich with ancient wisdom, calling to her calf with the patience of countless generations. Marina adjusts her recording levels, her breathing slow and measured, as she prepares to document these intimate exchanges that few humans have ever witnessed. The calf's response comes moments later, higher in pitch, tentative, like a question posed in a language older than continents. Its young voice carries notes of curiosity and trust, each sound a thread in the invisible bond between mother and child. Marina closes her eyes and lets herself become part of this underwater cathedral, where love is spoken in frequencies that travel for miles through the blue-green depths. Through her headphones, she hears the mother's teaching calls begin. These are different from the migration songs she recorded in spring, different from the feeding calls of early summer. These sounds carry the weight of instruction, each tone carefully modulated to guide her calf through the complexities of ocean life. The mother demonstrates the long, sweeping calls used for long-distance communication, her voice rising and falling like a gentle tide. The calf attempts to mimic these sounds, its young vocal cords producing endearing approximations of its mother's sophisticated calls. There are wobbles and breaks in the young whale's voice, moments where the sound cracks like an adolescent's changing voice, and Marina finds herself smiling at the universal nature of learning, even here in the deep. As the morning progresses, she records dozens of these exchanges. The mother teaches specific calls, the contact call used to maintain connection across vast distances, the feeding call that announces rich krill patches, the comfort sound that soothes and reassures. Each lesson is repeated patiently, the mother never showing frustration as her calf struggles to master the complex vocalizations that will become its lifeline in the boundless ocean. Marina marvels at the gentleness in these giant voices. A creature weighing dozens of tons speaks to its child with the same tender care as any parent coaxing first words from a toddler. The water around them pulses with these conversations, creating ripples of sound that spread outward like circles on a pond, carrying news of new life to the extended family scattered throughout the Arctic waters. In the afternoon, as the sun reaches its peak and sends columns of amber light dancing through the water, Marina records something extraordinary. The calf has been practicing its calls for hours, and suddenly, its voice achieves perfect resonance with its mother's. The two voices blend in harmony, creating a duet that seems to encompass all the joy and hope of summer itself. The sound carries such pure emotion that Marina feels tears gathering in her eyes behind her diving mask. Other voices join the celebration ants, and cousins adding their own notes to the family chorus. The water becomes alive with whale song, each voice distinct yet perfectly integrated into a symphony of connection. Marina realizes she's witnessing more than vocal instruction. She's documenting the very essence of how knowledge passes between generations, how love speaks in frequencies that bypass words entirely. As evening approaches and the underwater light begins to soften into twilight blue, the lessons shift to quieter exchanges. The mother's calls become lullabies, low and rhythmic sounds that seem designed to soothe and comfort. The calf responds with sleepy murmurs, its voice growing softer as exhaustion from a day of learning begins to take hold. Marina adjusts her position, allowing herself to drift closer to these gentle giants. Through the clear water, she can see their massive forms moving with surprising grace, the mother's protective presence never far from her child. The calf stays close, occasionally brushing against its mother's side, in a gesture that transcends species, the universal need for comfort and security. The final calls of the day are whispered conversations, intimate sounds that seem meant only for each other. The mother's voice carries notes of pride and encouragement, while the calf's responses grow increasingly drowsy. Marina watches as they settle into the rhythm of evening, their massive forms barely visible now in the deepening twilight. As she prepares to surface, Marina knows she's captured something profound, the tender conversations that shape the next generation of ocean wanderers. These recordings will preserve not just sounds, but the very essence of how wisdom flows between mother and child in the vast blue cathedral of the Arctic Sea. The whale songkeepers of tomorrow are learning their ancient melodies today, their voices already carrying the promise of songs yet to be sung. The hydrophones suspended in the dark Arctic waters begin to tremble with something extraordinary. Marina adjusts her headphones in the research station's quiet listening room, her breath catching as the first notes reach her ears. This is not the familiar chatter of belugas or the clicking conversation of narwhals. This is something deeper, older, more profound than anything she has recorded in these northern waters. The sound arrives like distant thunder rolling across an endless plain, but softer, more musical. It pulses through the ocean at frequencies so low, they seem to vibrate not just through the water, but through Marina's very bones. She watches the spectrogram on her screen paint, flowing ribbons of blue and green, mapping the contours of the most magnificent voice in all the world's oceans. Somewhere in the depths below, a blue whale is singing. The creature glides through the midnight zone, where sunlight has never touched, its body stretching nearly the length of 3 school buses. Its heart alone weighs as much as a small car, pumping blood through arteries wide enough for a child to crawl through. Yet for all its immense size, the blue whale moves with surprising grace, its massive flippers sculling through the water with the elegance of a dancer's arms. The whale's song builds slowly, each note sustained for 30 seconds or more. The sound originates deep within its chest, in vocal cords longer than a grand piano. These are not random calls, but carefully structured phrases, repeated and modified like verses in an ancient ballad. The whale is broadcasting its presence across the vast Arctic basin, its voice carrying messages that will travel for thousands of miles. Marina closes her eyes and lets the sound wash over her. At frequencies below 20 hertz, the whale's song exists at the very edge of human hearing. These infrasonic calls penetrate through layers of water that would muffle higher sounds, traveling along deep ocean channels like acoustic highways. The whale's voice rides the thermoclines and sound-fixing layers, using the ocean itself as a vast amplification system. Other blue whales, scattered across distant feeding grounds, will hear this call. Some swim alone near the ice edge of Greenland. Others glide through the fjords of Svalbard. A few may be as far away as the Norwegian coast, yet the song reaches them all. In an ocean that can seem impossibly vast and empty, these acoustic beacons connect solitary giants across hundreds of miles of open water. The whale's call shifts slightly, the pitch dropping even lower. Marina recognizes this pattern from recordings made near the Azores, off California, in the deep Pacific. The blue whale language is surprisingly consistent across the world's oceans, suggesting these songs carry meaning that transcends regional dialects. Perhaps they speak of feeding areas rich with krill, or seasonal migration routes carved by countless generations. As the song continues, Marina imagines the whale's massive head rising and falling gently with each note. Its grooved throat expands like a vast accordion, then contracts to force air through its vocal apparatus. Somewhere high above, Aurora Borealis might be dancing across the polar night, but down here in the whale's realm, the only light comes from the faint bioluminescence of tiny organisms disturbed by the creature's passage. The blue whale's call seems to grow more complex as it continues, adding harmonic overtones that resonate through the ship's hull. Marina adjusts her equipment, capturing every nuance of this rare Arctic performance. Blue whales are uncommon visitors to these northern waters, making this recording precious beyond measure. Most of these giants prefer the warmer waters where krill blooms are more predictable. But climate change has opened new pathways into the Arctic, drawing them northward in search of food. The song begins to fade now, the whale likely diving deeper or simply moving beyond the range of Marina's instruments. But the last notes linger in the water like the final chords of a cathedral organ, their deep vibrations continuing long after the whale has fallen silent. Even when human ears can no longer detect them, these acoustic echoes will continue rippling through the ocean, carrying their mysterious messages to distant listeners. Marina removes her headphones and sits in the sudden quiet of the research station. Outside, the Arctic wind whispers against the hull, but it seems almost insignificant compared to the whale's profound song. She knows that somewhere in the dark waters below, the blue whale continues its ancient journey, its voice joining the eternal chorus of the deep. In the logbook, she writes simply, "Blue whale vocalization recorded 23:47 hours. Song duration, approximately 12 minutes. The ocean remembers everything." The hydrophones return to their patient listening, waiting for the next voice to emerge from the mysterious depths of the polar sea. The darkness beneath the Arctic waters holds secrets that only sound can reveal. Marina floats suspended in her research station, 70 feet below the ice, surrounded by an intricate web of hydrophones that have become her ears to the ocean's hidden world. For months now, she has listened to the whales, but tonight something extraordinary begins to unfold. Their songs are not just communication, they are maps. A deep, resonant call echoes through the water, a bowhead whale's voice carrying across miles of liquid space. Marina closes her eyes and follows the sound as it travels, watching on her instruments as the acoustic waves bounce and bend, revealing the shape of the seafloor far below. The whale's song strikes something massive and returns, the echo painting the outline of an underwater mountain that no human eye has ever seen. She adjusts her headphones and listens more carefully. Each call is a brushstroke on an invisible canvas. The whales have been teaching her to see with sound, showing her how their voices map every ridge, every valley, every hidden canyon in this vast underwater realm. A humpback's haunting melody spirals downward, and Marina traces its path as it discovers a deep trench, the sound waves falling into darkness before climbing back up to whisper their discoveries. The acoustic map slowly takes shape on her screens. Here, a seamount rises from the abyssal plain, its peak decorated with cold water corals that the whales navigate around with perfect precision. There, a canyon cuts deep into the continental shelf, its walls creating echoes that tell stories of ancient currents and geological time. The whales know these features intimately, their songs revealing pathways through the deep that have been traveled for thousands of years. A pod of narwhals adds their voices to the symphony, their clicks and whistles creating a detailed sonar picture of the ice ceiling above. Marina watches in wonder as their calls map every ridge and pressure crack in the frozen canopy, showing safe passages and breathing holes scattered across miles of Arctic ice. The whales are master navigators, using sound to create three-dimensional maps more accurate than any satellite could provide from above. She begins to understand the language of the deep. A beluga's trill bounces off a school of cod, revealing not just fish, but the thermal layers where warm and cold waters meet. A bowhead's low-frequency call penetrates the seafloor itself, showing Marina the density of sediments and the presence of buried valleys carved by ancient glaciers. Every song is a question asked of the ocean, and every echo is the sea's reply. The hours pass unnoticed as Marina becomes lost in this acoustic cartography. She watches her instruments translate whale songs into topographic data, revealing an underwater landscape of breathtaking complexity. Underwater mountains march in chains across the ocean floor. Deep channels, carved by powerful currents, wind between them like liquid highways. Vast plains of mud and sand stretch between rocky outcrops where marine life flourishes in the eternal darkness. A magnificent blue whale's call rumbles through the water, so low and powerful that Marina feels it in her chest. The sound travels for hundreds of miles, mapping features on a continental scale. Submarine canyons reveal themselves as the call follows their winding paths. Continental shelves appear as sudden drops, where the whale's voice falls away into deep ocean basins. Even the curvature of the earth becomes apparent in the way these massive acoustic waves bend and travel. Marina realizes she is witnessing something profound. The whales are not just living in this underwater world. They are its chroniclers, its map makers, its memory keepers. Their songs have been charting these waters for millions of years, passing down acoustic maps through generations. They know where the ocean floor rises to meet feeding grounds, where currents converge to create rich upwellings, where safe passages exist through underwater mountain ranges. As dawn approaches somewhere far above the ice, Marina's screens display a three-dimensional map of unprecedented detail, colored in gentle blues and greens. It shows a hidden landscape more varied and magnificent than any terrestrial mountain range. The whales have been her guides to this secret world, their voices illuminating features that would otherwise remain forever unknown. She sits back in her chair, headphones still on, and listens to the continuing conversation between the whales and the sea. Each call is both a greeting to ancient landmarks and a lesson for those who know how to listen. The ocean floor is not empty darkness, but a rich tapestry of geological wonders, and the whales are its most devoted explorers. In the gentle hum of the research station's life support systems, Marina drifts towards sleep, her dreams filled with underwater mountains and singing whales, with acoustic maps drawn in sound and memory, with the profound understanding that she has been privileged to witness the ocean's most ancient and beautiful secret. The deep Arctic waters shimmer with an otherworldly blue as Marina descends through the twilight zone, her hydrophone array gently trailing behind her submersible like delicate tentacles, sensing the ocean's secrets. At nearly 800 meters below the surface, sunlight has long since faded to memory, yet the darkness here pulses with life and sound. Through her headphones, Marina first hears them as distant percussion, a rhythmic clicking that echoes through the water like underwater castanets. The sound grows stronger, more complex, as she guides her vessel deeper into their domain. Soon, the clicking transforms into something extraordinary, a symphony of communication so sophisticated it takes her breath away. The sperm whale clan materializes from the blue-black depths, like gentle giants emerging from a dream. 7 magnificent creatures, their massive square heads leading the way, their skin a tapestry of scars and stories written by decades of deep ocean living. The largest female, perhaps 50 feet in length, clicks in slow, deliberate patterns that Marina recognizes as the matriarch's voice. Deep, authoritative, yet somehow comforting. Marina adjusts her recording equipment, her fingers moving carefully over the controls as she documents this remarkable acoustic gathering. The whale family has arranged themselves in a loose circle, their massive bodies suspended in the water column with an elegance that defies their size. Each whale contributes to the conversation with distinct vocal signatures, creating a layered composition of clicks, creaks, and codas. The youngest calf, perhaps only 2 years old but already 20 feet long, practices its vocalizations with endearing enthusiasm. Its clicks are higher pitched, quicker, like a child learning to speak. Marina watches through her viewing port as the calf swims close to its mother, mimicking her clicking patterns with determined concentration. The mother responds with gentle, encouraging sounds, her massive head turning slightly to acknowledge her offspring's efforts. As Marina observes, she begins to recognize patterns within the cacophony. The whales use rapid-fire bursts of clicks when investigating something new. Her submersible, for instance, the echolocation clicks bounce off her vessel and return to them, painting detailed acoustic pictures of this strange visitor. She can almost feel their curiosity through the water, their gentle investigation of her presence. When the clan prepares to dive deeper for their evening hunt, the clicking patterns shift dramatically. The sounds become more focused, more directed downward toward the ocean floor, where giant squid wait in the abyssal darkness. Marina marvels at how each whale contributes to this acoustic map, their combined sonar creating a three-dimensional picture of the hunting grounds below. But it's during their social moments that Marina witnesses the true complexity of sperm whale culture. The whales float together, their enormous heads nearly touching, exchanging what can only be described as conversations. The clicks become softer, more intimate, interspersed with gentle squeaks and whistles. She recognizes the repetitive patterns that researchers call codas, distinct clicking sequences that function like family names or cultural dialects, passed down through generations of whale mothers. The late afternoon Arctic light filters down through hundreds of meters of water, creating an ethereal blue cathedral around the whale family. Marina watches as they perform their ancient rituals of bonding and communication, their voices weaving together in patterns that have echoed through these waters for millions of years. Each whale's clicking is as individual as a human fingerprint, yet they harmonize with remarkable precision. The teenage whales practice the complex rhythms, sometimes clicking in unison, sometimes creating intricate call and response patterns with their elders. Marina realizes she's witnessing something akin to a whale university, where acoustic knowledge passes from one generation to the next. As her recording session continues, Marina notices how the whales' communication adapts to their environment. In the deeper waters, their clicks become more powerful, designed to penetrate greater distances. Near the surface, the patterns grow softer, more nuanced, perfect for close-range social interaction. The matriarch's voice rises above the others in what Marina recognizes as a long-distance call, possibly reaching out to other whale clans scattered across the Arctic waters. The sound travels for miles through the ocean, carrying news of good hunting grounds, safe passages, or simply the joy of family gatherings. As evening approaches in the world above, the whale clan begins to disperse for their nightly hunt. But before they part, Marina witnesses one final exchange, a collective clicking that seems to encompass the entire family, a moment of acoustic embrace that binds them together even as they separate. The last whale to disappear into the depths turns toward Marina's submersible one final time. Its clicking pattern is gentle, curious, almost welcoming, as if acknowledging her presence as a fellow keeper of ocean songs. As its massive form fades into the blue darkness, Marina realizes she has been blessed with a glimpse into one of Earth's most sophisticated acoustic cultures, where language flows as naturally as the currents themselves. Beneath the crystalline ceiling of Arctic ice, where sunlight filters through in cathedral beams of turquoise and gold, Marina floats suspended in the liquid twilight of her underwater world. The water around her holds a different quality today, thick with memory and the weight of countless seasons. She adjusts her position slowly, her breathing apparatus creating gentle bubbles that rise like silver coins toward the distant surface. The first song reaches her as a low, resonant hum that seems to emerge from the very foundations of the ocean floor. It's different from the daily conversations she's grown accustomed to. This melody carries the weight of ages, each note deliberate and purposeful. Through her underwater speakers, she can hear the intricate patterns that would be impossible for human ears to detect in their full complexity above the surface. An ancient matriarch approaches, her massive form moving with the grace of a living mountain. Her skin tells stories of decades spent traversing these waters, marked with the gentle scars of ice encounters and the natural weathering of time. As she begins to sing, Marina realizes she's witnessing something extraordinary, a living library opening its pages to the ocean. The whale's song unfolds like a map made of sound. Each melodic phrase describes a different aspect of their ancestral knowledge. The location of krill blooms that appear with clockwork precision each spring, the safe passages through shifting ice fields, the deeper channels where storms above cannot reach. Marina's instruments capture every nuance, but she knows that the true meaning extends far beyond what her technology can measure. Other whales join the ancient one, their voices weaving together in harmonies that speak of generations. A younger female adds her voice, her song less complex but eager, learning the patterns that her grandmother's grandmother once sang in these same waters. Marina watches as the knowledge passes between them, invisible threads of sound connecting past to future. The songs tell of feeding grounds discovered centuries ago, coordinates encoded in melodies that have never been written down, never been forgotten. They speak of the warm currents that carry nutrients from distant seas, of the underwater canyons, where echoes create perfect acoustic chambers for long-distance communication. Each whale adds her own verse to the ancient composition, updating the living map with current conditions and new discoveries. Marina finds herself thinking of her own grandmother's stories, passed down through generations of her family, tales of the sea told on quiet evenings, practical wisdom wrapped in the warmth of shared memory. But these whale songs represent something far grander, a cultural inheritance that spans not decades, but centuries, perhaps millennia. A deep bass note resonates through the water, and Marina recognizes it as a warning encoded in melody, information about the underwater currents near the ice shelf, where even the most experienced whales must navigate with caution. The song describes the seasonal changes in water temperature, the way the currents shift as the ice above melts and reforms, dangers that exist nowhere else in the ocean. As the concert continues, Marina begins to understand that she's witnessing the transmission of what might be the ocean's oldest university. The whales carry no books, build no monuments, yet their knowledge survives in forms more durable than stone. Each song is a living text, updated and refined by each generation, preserved in the most reliable storage system ever created. Memory passed from parent to child through the medium of music. The matriarch's song grows softer now, more contemplative, and Marina hears in it the wisdom of countless migrations, the memory of waters that existed before human ships ever crossed the surface above. The younger whales listen with the reverence of students, their own voices joining in the chorus as they learn the ancient ways. In this moment, suspended between the ice above and the ocean floor below, Marina understands that she's been privileged to witness something sacred. These songs are more than communication. They are the living memory of the sea itself, carried forward by creatures whose commitment to their culture spans generations beyond human comprehension. The water around her seems to pulse with the rhythm of the ancient songs, and Marina closes her eyes, letting the melodies wash over her like a gentle current. She realizes that every note she's recorded carries within it the wisdom of ages, knowledge that has guided these magnificent creatures through countless seasons of change, ensuring their survival in a world of perpetual motion. As the songs gradually fade into the peaceful silence of the deep, Marina remains floating in the crystalline water, surrounded by the echoes of memory and the profound understanding that she has witnessed something eternal, the ocean's own method of preserving its most precious secrets. In the vast blue cathedral of the Arctic waters, where light filters down in gentle columns through the endless depths, Marina has discovered something extraordinary. It begins as a whisper in the distance, so low and deep that she feels it more than hears it, the ancient rhythm that has pulsed through these waters for millennia. The fin whales are calling. Their voices emerge from the darkness, like the slow, steady breathing of the ocean itself. Each call resonates at a frequency so profound that it travels for hundreds of miles, a biological lighthouse sending its signal through the liquid cosmos. Marina closes her eyes and lets the sound wash over her, through her, becoming part of the very fabric of her being. These are not the complex melodies of the humpbacks, with their intricate phrases and musical variations. The fin whales speak in something far more elemental, a rhythm as fundamental as a heartbeat, as essential as the tides themselves. Each pulse arrives with the reliability of clockwork, 20 seconds of silence, then that deep, resonant boom that seems to emanate from the Earth's core. Marina has been listening to this rhythm for weeks now, and it has become the soundtrack of her underwater world. When she first descended into these depths, Time seemed fluid and unmeasurable, marked only by the subtle shifts in light filtering from far above. But the fin whales have given her something precious. A metronome that counts the moments, divides the hours, creates a framework for existence in this timeless realm. She imagines the great whales themselves, those magnificent leviathans nearly as long as a blue whale, their sleek bodies cutting through the water with an efficiency that defies their enormous size. They are the ocean's architects of rhythm, their calls creating invisible highways of sound that connect feeding grounds thousands of miles apart. Each pulse is both individual and universal, a whale's personal signature woven into the greater symphony of the species. The comfort Marina finds in these patterns is profound and unexpected. In her surface world, she was surrounded by the chaotic noise of modern life, traffic, machinery, the constant chatter of human activity. Here, in the cathedral silence of the deep, the fin whales offer something her soul had forgotten it needed. The peace of natural order, the meditation of repetition, the gentle insistence that time moves at its own pace. As another pulse echoes through the water, Marina feels her own heartbeat begin to synchronize with the whale's rhythm. Her breathing slows, deepens, matching the 20-second intervals between calls. She becomes part of this underwater orchestra, her human presence absorbed into something far greater and more ancient than herself. The sound carries stories within its depths. Each pulse speaks of migrations spanning entire ocean basins, of generations of whales following the same routes their ancestors traveled for millions of years. The rhythm tells of feeding grounds rich with krill, of deep trenches where these giants gather to sing their ancient songs, of the endless patience required to navigate a world measured not in minutes or hours, but in seasons and centuries. Marina opens her eyes to watch the play of light on the water around her, and she realizes that the fin whales have given her a gift beyond measure. In their steady rhythm, she has found a kind of peace she never knew existed. The constant worry about time, about schedules, about the relentless pace of modern existence, all of it dissolves in the face of this primal metronome. The whales ask nothing of her but presence. They offer no complexity to decode, no urgent messages to interpret. They simply exist. And in existing, they create this steady pulse that anchors everything else in the ocean's soundscape. The crackling of shrimp, the distant songs of other whales, the whisper of currents, all of it flows around and through this fundamental rhythm like instruments joining an eternal orchestra. Another pulse arrives, right on schedule, and Marina smiles in the darkness. She has learned to trust in this rhythm, to let it guide her through her days in the depths. When she needs to surface, the whale's metronome tells her when to begin her ascent. When she feeds, she does so in harmony with their timing. When she rests, she does so cradled by their steady pulse. In this moment, suspended between the surface and the abyss, Marina understands that she has become part of something magnificent, a keeper not just of whale songs, but of the ocean's own heartbeat. The fin whales pulse through the water around her, their rhythm as eternal and reliable as the stars. And she knows that no matter where her journey takes her, she will always carry this peace within her. The deep calls, and the deep answers in perfect time. The midnight sun casts its golden glow through the crystal-clear Arctic waters as Marina descends into what has become her favorite listening post. 70 feet below the surface, the ocean around her pulses with life in ways she has never experienced before. Summer has transformed these waters into a grand concert hall, where the greatest migration of marine life converges upon the rich feeding grounds of the Arctic Ocean. Through her hydrophone, Marina listens as the first notes drift through the water. A distant humpback whale begins its haunting melody, the long, mournful notes rising and falling like an ancient lullaby. The song travels for miles through the dense summer waters, each note perfectly preserved in the cold depths. Marina closes her eyes and feels the vibrations resonate through her body, as if the whale is singing directly to her soul. But today, the humpback is not alone. As Marina adjusts her equipment, she begins to detect the complex layers of sound that make summer in the Arctic so extraordinary. The deep, rhythmic pulses of blue whales join the chorus, their calls so low they seem to emerge from the very foundation of the ocean floor. These gentle giants, the largest creatures ever to have lived on Earth, add their bass notes to the growing symphony, creating a foundation upon which all other sounds can dance. From somewhere to the north, the distinctive whistles and clicks of beluga whales weave through the deeper calls. These Arctic natives move through their summer home with playful abandon, their white forms ghosting through the kelp forests like living snowflakes. Their calls are conversational, social, filled with the joy of reunion as different pods encounter one another in the rich feeding waters. Marina can almost hear their laughter in the bubbling whistles that cascade through the hydrophone. The water temperature has risen just enough to bring unexpected visitors to these northern waters. Marina detects the rapid-fire clicks of pilot whales, who have followed the warming currents further north than usual. Their echolocation creates a percussion section in the ocean's orchestra, sharp and precise against the flowing melodies of their larger cousins. Each click tells a story of navigation and discovery, of pods exploring new territories made accessible by the brief Arctic summer. A new voice enters the composition, one that makes Marina's heart skip with excitement. The complex, modulated calls of orcas drift through the water, their sophisticated language adding an element of intelligence and strategy to the symphony. These apex predators move through the Arctic waters with purpose, their calls coordinating hunting strategies and family bonds that span generations. Their voices are both beautiful and powerful, commanding respect from all who hear them in these ancient waters. As Marina floats in the gentle current, she begins to understand that what she is hearing is not chaos, but organization. Each species occupies its own acoustic space, its own frequency range, allowing multiple conversations to occur simultaneously without interference. The blue whales claim the deepest registers, their infrasonic calls traveling hundreds of miles. The humpbacks weave their melodies in the mid-range frequencies, while the belugas and dolphins dance in the higher pitches. It is as if evolution itself has orchestrated this arrangement, allowing the ocean to hold countless conversations at once. The summer plankton blooms have created feast conditions that attract not just whales, but the entire Arctic food web. Marina can hear the subtle sounds of millions of tiny krill moving through the water, their collective motion creating a gentle shimmering background to the whale songs. Fish schools move in silver clouds, their movements adding texture to the acoustic landscape. Even the ice contributes to the symphony, with distant bergs creaking and singing as they slowly melt in the summer warmth. Through her headphones, Marina experiences something few humans ever witness: the ocean at its most vocal and alive. The calls overlap and intertwine, creating harmonies that seem almost deliberately composed. A young humpback practices its song nearby, its notes not yet fully formed but filled with earnest effort. An elder blue whale calls from the depths, its voice carrying the wisdom of decades spent navigating these waters. As the hours pass in this underwater concert hall, Marina feels herself becoming part of the symphony. Her own heartbeat seems to synchronize with the rhythm of the whale calls. Her breathing slows to match the patient pace of the giants around her. She is no longer just an observer, but a participant in this ancient celebration of life beneath the Arctic waters. The midnight sun continues its lazy circle overhead, casting shifting patterns of light through the water. The whales continue their songs, each voice adding to the magnificent chorus that celebrates the brief abundance of Arctic summer. In this moment, Marina understands that she is witness to one of nature's most extraordinary performances, a symphony that has been playing in these waters for millions of years, waiting for someone to truly listen and understand its timeless beauty. The hydrophone cable descends through layers of Arctic water like a silver thread, connecting two worlds. Marina watches from the research vessel's deck as morning light filters through the ice, casting everything in shades of pearl and platinum. Today marks her 220th day beneath these waters, and the ocean still holds secrets she's only beginning to understand. The headphones settle over her ears with familiar weight. Static crackles, then fades into the deep silence that exists between sounds. Marina adjusts the sensitivity, her fingers moving across the controls with the practiced grace of someone who has spent countless hours listening to the ocean's hidden conversations. The water temperature gauge reads 34 degrees Fahrenheit, perfect conditions for long-distance whale song transmission. Then it comes, a sound that stops her breath entirely. The call begins as a low rumble, so deep it's felt more than heard. It rises slowly, climbing through frequencies like a voice finding its courage. This isn't the complex symphony of a humpback or the clicking conversation of dolphins. This is something different, something rarer. The sound curves and drops, carrying within it a weight that seems to press against Marina's chest. North Atlantic right whale. The realization sends a chill through her that has nothing to do with the Arctic air. She's heard their calls in recordings, studied their patterns in acoustics labs, but never like this, never so close, never so immediate, and heartbreakingly real. The whale calls again, and Marina can hear the individual in the sound, not just a species, but a specific being with a specific voice singing into the vast darkness of deep water. The call carries for miles, searching for an answer that may never come. There are fewer than 340 of these giants left in the entire North Atlantic. Each voice is precious beyond measure. Marina's hands move quickly over her equipment, adjusting recording levels, checking frequency ranges. This song must be captured perfectly. Every nuance, every subtle shift in tone carries scientific value. But as she works, she finds herself simply listening, letting the whale's voice wash over her like a meditation. The calls come in patterns now, long, mournful notes that seem to rise from the very bones of the earth. They speak of migration routes traveled for thousands of years, of feeding grounds rich with copepods, of deep waters where mothers once taught calves the ancient songs of their kind. But underneath the traditional melodies, Marina hears something else, something that makes her close her eyes and lean closer to the hydrophone. Loneliness, the sound of a voice calling into an increasingly empty ocean. Between the whale's calls, Marina notices what isn't there. The spaces that should be filled with answering voices remain silent. The ocean that once thrummed with right whale conversations now holds mostly echoes. Each call travels further than it should need to, searching through water that grows quieter with each passing generation. The whale's song changes, dropping into frequencies so low they are almost beyond human hearing. These are the sounds that can travel across entire ocean basins, the long-distance calls that once connected scattered pods across thousands of miles of open water. Marina imagines the sound waves moving through the darkness, past sleeping seals and schools of Arctic cod, past icebergs and underwater valleys, carrying their message of presence, of persistence, of survival. A gentle shift in the whale's position changes the acoustic signature of its call. Marina can hear that it's moving, perhaps surfacing to breathe before diving again to the depths where its voice carries furthest. She pictures the massive creature, 40 feet of living history, its scarred back bearing witness to encounters with ship propellers and fishing gear. Each right whale carries the story of their species' struggle written across their skin. The calls continue, patient and measured. There's no urgency in them, no panic, just the steady rhythm of an ancient conversation that has continued for millions of years, even as the number of participants dwindles. The whale sings because that's what whales do, because the song itself is hope made audible, because somewhere in the vast Atlantic, another voice might hear and answer. Marina removes one earphone, letting the Arctic wind mix with the whale's call. Above her, the aurora borealis begins its nightly dance, green curtains of light rippling across the star-filled sky. The whale sings, the lights dance, and the ice shifts gently in the current, all part of a larger symphony, a planet breathing and dreaming and continuing its ancient rhythms. The recording equipment hums quietly, faithfully capturing every note of this rare encounter. When Marina returns to the research station, this song will be analyzed, cataloged, added to the growing database of right whale vocalizations. Scientists around the world will study its patterns, searching for clues about whale behavior, migration routes, population health. But here, now, in this moment suspended between ice and starlight, Marina simply listens. The whale's voice fills the Arctic night, carrying its message across the dark waters. A song of endurance, of memory, of hope that somewhere in the vast ocean, someone is listening. The call fades gradually, growing fainter as the whale moves away into deeper waters. Marina keeps the hydrophone active, hoping for one more voice, one more thread in the tapestry of sound that connects all living things beneath these ancient Arctic waters. Beneath the crystalline canopy of Arctic waters, where shafts of pale sunlight pierce the blue-green depths like gentle fingers, Marina floats suspended in her observation chamber. The water around her pulses with life, each molecule carrying the ancient songs that have echoed through these waters for countless generations. Today, she has the profound privilege of witnessing something truly sacred: the passing of whale song from mother to child. The first notes reach her through the water like whispered secrets, low, resonant calls that seem to emanate from the very soul of the ocean itself. Marina adjusts her hydrophone, the sensitive equipment picking up frequencies that dance far below human hearing, translating them into the hauntingly beautiful melodies that fill her underwater world. A massive humpback whale emerges from the deeper waters, her 40-foot frame moving with the fluid grace of a dancer. Beside her swims a much smaller figure, her calf, barely 3 months old, still learning to navigate these vast underwater highways. The mother's song begins, a complex arrangement of moans, clicks, and harmonic phrases that rise and fall like an ancient lullaby. Marina watches in wonder as the mother whale positions herself facing her young one, their great heads nearly touching in the blue silence. The song flows between them, each note deliberate and clear. It is a lesson that has been repeated in these waters for millions of years. Yet Marina feels as though she is witnessing it for the very first time. The calf listens intently, his large, dark eye focused on his mother with complete attention. When she pauses, he attempts to mirror her call. The sound that emerges is endearing in its imperfection, higher pitched, wavering, lacking the deep resonance that will come with age and practice. But the mother shows infinite patience, beginning the phrase again, her massive pectoral fins moving gently as if conducting an invisible orchestra. Hours pass in this underwater conservatory. The mother's song becomes a teaching tool, breaking complex melodies into smaller, manageable phrases. She repeats each section until her calf can approximate the sound, his voice growing stronger and more confident with each attempt. Other members of the pod circle at a respectful distance, adding their own supportive calls, aunties and cousins providing encouragement for the young student. Marina notices how the mother whale modifies her approach when the calf struggles with a particularly complex sequence. She slows the tempo, emphasizes certain notes, creates spaces of silence where the young one can practice without distraction. It is pedagogy in its purest form, teaching that requires no words, only love and endless repetition. The lesson extends beyond mere imitation. The mother demonstrates how different songs serve different purposes. The feeding calls that coordinate group hunting, the navigational songs that help maintain contact across vast distances, the social calls that strengthen pod bonds. Each type of vocalization has its own rhythm, its own emotional color, its own place in the vast library of whale culture. As the afternoon light shifts above them, creating dancing patterns on the seafloor far below, Marina observes other teaching pairs throughout the area. A grandmother whale works with a particularly young calf, her ancient voice carrying the wisdom of decades. Two juveniles practice together, their voices blending in harmonious experimentation, discovering new variations on traditional themes. The water itself seems to embrace these lessons, carrying each note with perfect clarity across miles of ocean. Marina realizes she is witnessing more than vocal training. She is observing the preservation of an entire civilization's memory. These songs contain the history of migration routes, the locations of feeding grounds, the stories of survival that have allowed these magnificent creatures to thrive in the harsh Arctic environment. The mother whale's song takes on a different quality now, deeper and more complex. She is teaching her calf the signature call that will identify him for the rest of his life, his unique voice in the vast choir of his species. The young whale listens with profound attention, understanding somehow that this lesson is different, more personal, more precious. Marina's heart swells as she watches the calf attempt his signature call for the first time. The notes are tentative, but unmistakably his own. The mother circles him slowly, her massive form a protective presence as he finds his voice. When he succeeds in producing a clear, strong version of his call, the entire pod responds with a chorus of celebration that reverberates through the water like distant thunder. As the Arctic day draws to its gentle close, the teaching session winds down naturally. The mother and calf swim side by side, their synchronized movements a dance of connection and love. The young whale practices softly, his new songs mixing with the eternal rhythm of the waves above and the patient heartbeat of the ocean below. Marina closes her eyes and lets the whale's songs wash over her, carrying her towards sleep on their ancient melodies. In these depths, time moves differently, and the songs that began millions of years ago continue their endless, peaceful flow through the blue forever. The morning light filters down through the Arctic waters in shafts of pale blue and silver, casting shifting patterns across the observatory's dome. You settle into your familiar position, the hydrophone headset resting gently against your ears as the ocean's endless symphony begins another movement. The water around you holds that particular stillness that comes before something magnificent reveals itself. In the distance, shadows begin to take shape. Long, streamlined forms emerge from the deeper waters, moving with a grace that seems almost choreographed. The sei whales have arrived, and with them comes a presence that transforms the entire underwater landscape. These are the ocean's elegant dancers, creatures perfectly sculpted for life in perpetual motion. The first whale glides past the observatory window with breathtaking fluidity, nearly 50 feet of pure efficiency. Her body tapers from a sleek head to a narrow tail in one unbroken line. Her skin gleams like polished metal in the filtered sunlight, dark gray-blue on top fading to pale silver beneath. This is nature's perfect aerodynamic design, every curve and contour shaped by millions of years of evolution for speed and grace. Through your headset, you hear the first of their calls. Unlike the complex songs of humpbacks or the deep rumbles of blue whales, the sei whale's voice carries a different kind of beauty. It's subtle, efficient, almost whispered, a brief, low-frequency pulse that travels through the water like a gentle heartbeat. There's something profoundly peaceful about these sounds, as if the whales are sharing quiet secrets with the ocean itself. Another whale appears, then another. They move in loose formation, not touching but somehow connected, their movements synchronized in ways that speak of deep understanding. Their dorsal fins slice through the water with barely a ripple, each whale maintaining perfect spacing, as if following an invisible choreography written in the currents themselves. You watch as they feed, And even this most basic act becomes a display of remarkable efficiency. Their mouths open slightly, their throat pleats expanding in subtle accordion folds as they filter enormous volumes of water. They're seeking copepods and small schooling fish, using their finely fringed baleen plates like the most delicate of sieves. There's no waste motion, no unnecessary energy expenditure. Every action serves its purpose with elegant precision. The water around them shimmers with displaced plankton, creating clouds of living light that swirl and dance in their wake. You realize you're witnessing one of nature's most refined feeding strategies, a technique so efficient that these whales can sustain their massive bodies while moving at speeds that would exhaust other giants of the deep. Through the hydrophone, another call drifts through the water. This one seems to come from farther away, perhaps from a whale beyond your visual range. The sound carries clearly through the dense Arctic waters, a brief acknowledgement between individuals who may be separated by miles, yet remain connected through the ocean's acoustic highway. There's something deeply moving about these sparse communications, as if each call holds more meaning for its restraint. A younger whale, perhaps 2/3 the size of the adults, stays close to what you assume is its mother. Their movements mirror each other perfectly, the calf learning through observation and practice the subtle art of being a sei whale. When the mother adjusts her course by mere degrees, the calf follows with precision, their bond expressed through this underwater ballet. The light continues to shift around them, and you notice how their coloration changes with the angle of illumination. What appeared solid gray-blue moments ago now reveals subtle patterns, faint scarring that tells stories of their travels through distant oceans. These are creatures of the open sea, built for covering vast distances with minimal effort, equally at home in tropical waters and polar seas. Their breathing, when they surface, is as efficient as everything else about them. Quick, purposeful inhalations before they disappear again beneath the surface. Even their surfacing pattern speaks to their streamlined existence. No elaborate displays, no unnecessary movements, just the simple act of drawing breath before returning to their aquatic realm. As the group continues past the observatory, their calls become more sporadic, more distant. You find yourself holding your breath, not wanting to miss these subtle vocalizations that seem to carry the essence of their character. Each call is like a brushstroke in watercolor, brief but perfectly placed, adding to the larger composition of their presence. The last whale in the group pauses near the observatory, her massive eye visible through the clear water. For a moment, you feel as though she's acknowledging your presence, this quiet observer in their ancient domain. Her gaze holds wisdom and peace, the kind that comes from a life spent in constant motion through the world's oceans. Then she too glides away, her form growing smaller until it merges with the deeper blue of the polar waters. The sei whales continue their journey, leaving behind only the memory of their grace and the fading echoes of their whispered songs in the vast, peaceful depths. The Arctic waters hold a different kind of silence now, Marina notices, as she glides through the familiar depths of her underwater sanctuary. The light filtering down from above carries a softer quality, amber-tinged and gentle, as autumn begins to paint the world above in shades of copper and gold. Nearly a year has passed since she first descended into these waters as the whale song keeper, and the ocean feels both completely familiar and endlessly mysterious. She moves slowly through the kelp forests that have grown taller and more luxurious over the summer months. The fronds sway in the current like underwater curtains, creating chambers of dappled light and shadow. Schools of Arctic char drift past in silver clouds, their movements synchronized and peaceful. Marina has learned to read the subtle signs that speak of seasonal change, the way the water temperature drops by fractions of degrees each day, how the plankton blooms shift from brilliant green to deeper emerald hues. In the distance, she hears the first notes of an approaching humpback song. The melody is different now, than it was in spring more complex, layered with harmonies she has learned to recognize as preparations for the great southern migration. As the whale draws closer, Marina can see the distinctive white patches on its pectoral fins, markings she has memorized like pages in a beloved book. This is Harmony, a female humpback who has become one of her most frequent companions over the past months. Harmony's song fills the water around them, each note vibrating through Marina's body like a gentle massage. The whale's massive tail moves in slow, graceful arcs, propelling her forward with effortless power. Marina swims alongside, matching her pace, feeling the displacement of water that flows like silk against her skin. There is something profoundly peaceful about moving through the ocean at this rhythm, unhurried, purposeful, in perfect harmony with the natural flow of the sea. As they swim together, Marina notices the subtle changes in Harmony's behavior that signal the approaching migration season. The whale pauses more frequently to listen. Her great head tilted at angles that Marina has learned indicate she is receiving songs from distant pods. These are navigation songs. Marina realizes calls that help coordinate the massive journey that lies ahead. The melodies carry information about currents and feeding grounds, about the timing of departure, and the routes that have been traveled for countless generations. Other whales begin to appear in the distance, their dark shapes moving through the blue-green water like gentle giants, awakening from summer dreams. A small pod of belugas passes nearby, their white forms ghostly and serene in the filtered light. Their clicks and whistles create a different kind of music, rapid and conversational, like old friends sharing stories of the changing season. Marina finds herself floating motionless for long moments, simply listening to the symphony of sounds that surrounds her. The ocean is never truly quiet. There is always the soft whisper of current against stone, the distant rumble of ice shifting far above, the gentle percussion of bubbles rising toward the surface. But overlaying all of this is the whale's song, growing richer and more complex as more voices join the autumn chorus. She thinks about her own transformation over these months beneath the waves. Her breathing has become deeper, more efficient. Her movements through the water have gained a fluidity she never possessed on land. Most importantly, her ability to hear and understand the whale's songs has deepened beyond anything she could have imagined. She no longer just listens to their calls, she feels them, understands their emotional undertones, recognizes the individual voices that make up the collective harmony. As the day grows longer and the light begins to fade to deeper blues and purples, Marina makes her way to a favorite resting spot, a natural amphitheater formed by underwater rock formations, where the whale songs echo and blend in the most beautiful way. Here, she often spends her evening hours, suspended in the warm embrace of the water, listening to the lullabies of the deep. Harmony settles nearby, her massive form at rest but alert, her breathing creating gentle rhythmic sounds that blend with the evening chorus. Other whales have gathered at comfortable distances, their songs weaving together in patterns that speak of preparation and anticipation. The autumn migration will begin soon, Marina knows, and her role as keeper of their songs will enter a new phase. But for now, in this moment, there is only the peaceful embrace of the ocean, the gentle weight of water holding her safe, and the eternal music of the whales preparing for another turn of the seasonal wheel. Marina closes her eyes and lets herself drift, cradled by the currents, surrounded by songs that carry the wisdom of the deep. The morning light filters down through 30 feet of Arctic water in golden green ribbons, dancing across the hull of your research vessel. You are Marina, marine biologist and keeper of whale songs, and today marks exactly 11 months since you first descended beneath these crystalline waters. The hydrophones suspended around your underwater observatory pick up the first stirrings of movement, a low, rumbling frequency that seems to emerge from the very depths of the ocean itself. You adjust your headphones and lean forward toward the monitoring equipment, watching as the sonar displays begin to bloom with familiar shapes. The humpbacks are gathering, their massive forms appearing like gentle giants materializing from a dream. 43 individuals. You count, the largest congregation you've witnessed during your year-long vigil. Their songs drift through the water like ancient hymns, each note crafted by creatures older and wiser than any terrestrial composer. Through the observation dome's curved glass, you watch as the first whale passes directly overhead. Her barnacle-covered head moves with deliberate grace, and you recognize her immediately. The matriarch you've been tracking since spring. She's nearly 50 feet long, her scarred flanks telling stories of decades spent navigating these polar waters. As she glides past, her massive eye seems to pause and look down at you. And for a moment, you feel acknowledged, accepted as part of this underwater world you've called home. The songs grow more complex now, layering upon themselves in harmonies that resonate through your chest. You've learned to distinguish between feeding calls and traveling songs, between the playful chatter of calves and the deep, territorial announcements of bulls. But today's music is different. There's a melancholy richness to it, a bittersweet quality that speaks of endings and beginnings intertwined. Your recording equipment captures every nuance as a younger male joins the matriarch's song. His voice weaves between her deeper tones, creating a duet that seems to embrace both celebration and farewell. You close your eyes and let the sound wash over you, remembering your first nervous descent into these waters nearly a year ago, when every whale song seemed like an indecipherable language from another world. Now, after months of patient listening and careful observation, you understand the subtle meanings behind each vocalization. The sharp, ascending calls that signal the start of a journey. The rhythmic pulses that help the pod maintain formation during long migrations. The gentle lullabies that mothers sing to keep their calves close during the dangerous crossing of open ocean. A soft bump against the observation dome draws your attention back to the present. A curious juvenile has approached, her smaller form graceful and inquisitive. She hovers just beyond the glass, studying you with the same fascination you've shown her species. Her flippers move in slow, hypnotic waves, and you place your palm against the cool glass, wishing you could somehow communicate your gratitude for the privilege of witnessing their secret world. The water around you fills with more movement as the entire pod begins to organize for departure. You watch the ancient choreography unfold, the way the mothers position themselves protectively around their young, how the bulls take positions at the edges of the group. The graceful spiral patterns the pod forms as it prepares to navigate the long journey south to warmer breeding grounds. Their farewell song builds to a crescendo that seems to acknowledge not just the changing season, but something more profound. It's as if they are singing to the ice above, to the depths below, to the countless generations of their kind who have made this same journey. And perhaps you think as tears blur your vision, they're singing to you too, the keeper of their songs, the witness to their ways, the human who chose to spend a full cycle of seasons learning their language. As the last whale disappears into the blue-green distance, their songs gradually fading to whispers, and then to silence, you remain at your post, hands still pressed against the observation dome. The Arctic waters settle back into their usual quietude, but the memory of the songs lingers in your mind like an echo in a vast cathedral. You reach for your logbook and begin to write. Day 334, the final migration begins. 43 individuals heading south, carrying with them the accumulated wisdom of summer feeding grounds and the promise of new life to come. Their songs today held a quality I can only describe as gratitude for the abundance of these waters, for the cycles that sustain them, for the vast blue highways that have carried their kind for millions of years. Outside, The first snow of the season begins to fall, white crystals dissolving into the dark water like stars returning to the night sky. Marina settles into her makeshift laboratory aboard the research vessel. The gentle rocking of the ship beneath thick Arctic ice, creating a rhythm that has become as familiar as her own heartbeat. Before her, months of recordings stretch across her computer screen in waves of blue and green. Visual representations of the whale's songs she has faithfully captured throughout this extraordinary year beneath the polar waters. The cabin is warm and softly lit, a cocoon of human comfort floating above the vast underwater world she has been documenting. Steam rises from her cup of tea, jasmine-scented and golden, as she adjusts her headphones and begins her evening ritual of listening, analyzing, understanding. Outside, the aurora borealis paints the sky in whispered colors, but Marina's attention is drawn downward, into the depths where giants sing their ancient songs. She begins with the humpback recordings from early spring, when the ice was just beginning its slow retreat. Their voices emerge through her headphones like distant church bells, deep and resonant, carrying melodies that seem to hold the memory of countless migrations. As she scrolls through the data, patterns begin to emerge, not random vocalizations, but structured communications as complex as any human language. The computer screen reveals something remarkable. The same melodic phrases appearing again and again, but with subtle variations, like a jazz musician improvising on a familiar theme. Marina leans forward, her breath catching as she realizes what she's witnessing. These are not just songs. They are conversations, stories, perhaps even names being called across the vast darkness of the ocean floor. She switches to the recordings of the bowhead whales, those ancient mariners whose lives can span centuries. Their calls are different, lower, more haunting, like the sound of wind through deep caverns. But here too, the patterns reveal themselves. Certain sequences appear to be repeated by multiple whales across different locations, as if news were being passed from one group to another across hundreds of miles of Arctic water. Marina's fingers trace the sound waves on her screen, following the intricate pathways of communication she has uncovered. During the peak of summer, when multiple species gathered in the rich feeding grounds, the recordings show something extraordinary. Different whale species appearing to respond to each other's calls. Not just awareness, but actual interaction, as if invisible highways of sound connected every creature in these waters. The beluga recordings tell perhaps the most fascinating story. These smaller whales, with their complex vocabulary of clicks, whistles, and calls, seem to serve as messengers in this underwater realm. Marina has identified what appears to be signature calls, unique sound patterns that individual belugas use, like names or identification codes. She watches the data show these signatures moving through the recording sites, tracking the journeys of individual whales across her year-long study. As autumn approached in her recordings, the patterns shifted dramatically. The long-distance calls increased, particularly from the larger whales preparing for migration. But instead of random activity, Marina sees coordinated communication, groups calling back and forth across vast distances, sharing information about ice conditions, feeding grounds, and safe passage routes. The most mysterious patterns appear in her deep winter recordings, when the ice locked the surface in silence and only the most hardy species remained. Here, in the darkest months, she found the most complex songs of all, lengthy compositions that seem to tell stories, preserve memories, pass on knowledge from the oldest whales to the youngest. Marina removes her headphones and leans back, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what her data reveals. This is not simply animal communication. This is culture, society, civilization existing in a medium humans can barely comprehend. The whales have created networks of sound that span continents, social structures that have persisted for millennia, knowledge systems that dwarf human history. She thinks of the Inuit elders who visited her research station, sharing their traditional knowledge of whale behavior. They spoke of the whales as having their own laws, their own customs, their own ways of sharing wisdom. Marina's scientific data confirms what indigenous peoples have always known. The ocean holds societies as sophisticated as any on land. The tea in her cup has grown cold, but Marina barely notices. She is lost in contemplation of the vast community she has been privileged to observe. Each song in her recordings represents a voice in an ongoing conversation that has continued unbroken for thousands of years. A symphony of intelligence playing out in the planet's last great wilderness. Tomorrow, she will begin writing her reports, translating her year of discovery into the language of science. But tonight, as the ship rocks gently above the singing depths, Marina simply listens to the patterns in the data, grateful to have witnessed the secret conversations of an underwater world more complex and beautiful than she had ever imagined possible. The morning brought with it a stillness that seemed to stretch beyond the boundaries of the sea itself. Marina floated in the gentle embrace of the Arctic waters, her breathing apparatus creating the softest rhythm of bubbles that rose like silver pearls toward the distant surface. Around her, the ocean held a quality of light that spoke of secrets, pale blue shadows that danced and shifted with each subtle movement of the current. She had been following the humpback pod for 7 hours now, moving through underwater valleys carved by glaciers thousands of years ago. The whales swam with unhurried grace, their massive forms cutting through the water with barely a disturbance. But it was their singing that had drawn her deeper into these mysterious depths, songs that seemed to carry more than melody. They carried something ancient, something that whispered of memory itself. The lead whale, a magnificent female Marina had named Echo, began another song. The low, haunting notes rippled through the water, traveling not just through space, but seeming to travel through time itself. Marina closed her eyes and let the vibrations wash over her, feeling them resonate in her chest, in her bones, in the very water that surrounded her like a liquid embrace. As the song continued, Marina began to understand something profound. The ocean was not merely a medium through which these songs traveled. It was a keeper of memories, a vast library written in sound. Each note, each call, each ancient melody was absorbed by the water itself, held within its molecular structure like stories pressed between the pages of an endless book. The Arctic waters around her seemed to shimmer with awareness. Here, where the ice had been forming and melting for millennia, the sea held memories of countless whale songs, summer songs of abundance, when the waters teemed with krill and the pods gathered in joyous celebration, winter songs of endurance, when the whales traveled vast distances beneath the protective ceiling of ice, love songs that had guided mates across ocean basins, and lullabies that had comforted calves on their first journeys to the polar feeding grounds. Marina opened her eyes and gazed into the blue depths surrounding her. She could almost see the songs now, invisible threads of sound that connected not just the whales around her, but whales separated by thousands of miles. The ocean carried their voices across the Pacific, from the feeding grounds of Alaska to the breeding waters of Hawaii. It carried songs across the Atlantic, from the fjords of Norway to the warm lagoons of the Caribbean. But more than distance, the ocean transcended time itself. The songs she heard today contained echoes of songs sung 50 years ago, 100 years ago. The water remembered the voices of grandmothers and great-grandmothers, the ancient matriarchs whose wisdom was encoded in every note. Their melodies lived on, passed not just from whale to whale, but held within the very medium that connected them all. Echo's songs shifted, taking on harmonies that seemed impossibly complex. Marina realized she was hearing not just one voice, but the accumulated voices of generations. The ocean was playing back its memories, layering the present moment with ghostly echoes of the past. The water itself had become a conductor in this vast symphony, carrying forward the cultural knowledge of the whale clans across decades and centuries. She thought of her grandmother's stories, how they had been passed down through her family like precious heirlooms. The whales had their own tradition of storytelling, but theirs was written in the acoustic properties of seawater, in the way sound waves bent and traveled through thermal layers and deep ocean currents. Their stories were alive in the medium that sustained them, making the entire ocean a keeper of their collective memory. As Marina floated there, suspended between the ancient ice above and the timeless depths below, she felt herself becoming part of this vast remembering. Her own breathing, her heartbeat, the gentle movements of her fins, all of it added to the ocean's endless song. She was both witness and participant in this underwater symphony that connected all life beneath the waves. The pod began to move deeper, following currents that would carry them toward distant feeding grounds. Marina followed, understanding now that she was not just observing their journey, but becoming part of the ocean's memory herself. Every moment she spent in these waters would be held, preserved in the liquid archives that surrounded her. The Arctic Ocean sang around her, a slow and patient song that spoke of ice and time, of journeys measured not in days, but in seasons, of voices that would echo through the depths long after their singers had passed into legend. And Marina swam deeper, carried by waters that remembered everything, surrounded by the endless, eternal memory of the sea. The ice above glowed with a pale blue luminescence, filtering the Arctic sun into something soft and dreamlike. Marina floated in her submersible pod, suspended in that twilight world between the frozen surface and the abyssal depths, where the whale's songs had become as familiar to her as her own heartbeat. 12 months had passed since she first descended into these waters. 12 months of patient listening, of recording the endless symphonies that echoed through the dark ocean. The hydrophones around her craft had captured thousands of hours of whale song. But only now, in this quiet moment, did Marina begin to truly hear what they were saying. A distant call drifted through the water, low and mournful. She recognized it immediately. The voice of Arcturus, the ancient bull whale she had been following since spring. His song was deeper than the others, weathered by decades of Arctic winters, carrying the weight of countless migrations through these same dark waters. But today, something was different. Today, Marina could hear beyond the notes themselves. The hydrophone crackled softly, and another voice joined Arcturus, a younger whale, perhaps his son, with a voice bright and clear as breaking ice. Their songs intertwined, not in the random cacophony Marina had once perceived, but in something far more complex. A conversation, a dialogue of such intricate beauty that tears formed in her eyes. She had always known that whales communicated. The scientific literature was full of studies about their calls, their echolocation, their social structures. But this was different. This was language, not just the exchange of information, but the sharing of something deeper, something profoundly personal. Arcturus's song rose and fell in patterns Marina had mapped and analyzed countless times. But now she heard the subtle variations, the way he bent certain notes with what could only be described as affection when addressing the younger whale, the way he held others longer when speaking of the deep trenches where krill gathered like silver clouds. There was joy in those extended tones, and memory, and something that sounded remarkably like nostalgia. The younger whale responded with quick, bright phrases that seemed to dance through the water. Marina smiled, recognizing what she could only call excitement, the eager questions of youth, the rush of discovery. She had heard this pattern before, always when the pod encountered something new. A school of fish in an unexpected place, an iceberg with an unusual shape, a current that tasted of distant seas. As she listened, more voices joined the conversation. Lyra, the matriarch whose songs were like silver threads weaving through the darkness. Orion, whose calls were punctuated with what Marina had come to recognize as humor, playful trills and sudden changes in pitch that often preceded splashing sounds from the surface. And the calves, their voices still uncertain but growing stronger each day, learning the grammar of their ancient tongue. The water around Marina's pod seemed to pulse with their communication, the songs layered upon one another, creating harmonies that resonated through her bones. She closed her eyes and let the sound wash over her, understanding finally that this was not just communication. It was culture. It was art. It was the collective memory of a species that had roamed these waters since before humans learned to speak. Each whale sang with their own voice, their own personality shining through the ancient patterns. Arcturus was contemplative, his songs filled with long pauses and deep, thoughtful tones. Lyra was decisive, her calls sharp and clear, organizing the pod's movements with maternal authority. The young ones were curious, their songs full of questions and wonder. And beneath it all, woven through every call like a golden thread, was something that made Marina's breath catch in her throat. Love, the unmistakable sound of family, of beings who cared for one another, who shared their joys and sorrows across vast distances of black water and endless time. A new song began, distant but growing stronger. Marina recognized the voice immediately. It was Andromeda, the scarred female who always sang at sunset. Her calls were haunting, beautiful in their melancholy, and tonight they carried a message that seemed meant for the entire ocean. Other whales throughout the Arctic waters began to respond, their voices joining in a chorus that stretched from Greenland to Alaska. Marina floated in her small craft, no longer just an observer, but somehow part of this vast conversation. The whales' songs filled the water around her, through her, transforming the cold Arctic sea into something warm and alive. She had spent a year learning to listen, and now she understood that she had been given a gift beyond measure, the ability to hear not just the language of whales, but their hearts singing in the darkness. The ice above continued to glow with its gentle light, and the songs continued to flow through the water like prayers, like poetry, like the dreams of the deep ocean made manifest in sound. Marina's fingers traced the edge of the recording console one final time, feeling the familiar grooves worn smooth by countless hours of patient listening. The underwater observatory has been her home for nearly 12 months now, a glass sanctuary suspended in the Arctic depths, where she has learned to speak the ocean's ancient language. Tomorrow, the submersible will carry her back to the surface world, but tonight belongs to the whales. Through the curved windows, bioluminescent creatures drift past like living stars, their gentle glow painting the darkness in shades of blue and green. The water moves with that peculiar weightless grace she has come to love, each current carrying stories from distant waters, messages from creatures she may never see, but has learned to know through their voices. She adjusts her headphones and lets her breathing slow to match the rhythm of the deep. The hydrophones stretch out into the black water like invisible tentacles, gathering the ocean's whispers from miles around. For months, she has cataloged the songs that travel these underwater highways, the complex melodies of humpbacks, the clicking conversations of sperm whales, the haunting calls that bridge continents and generations. But tonight, something different drifts through the depths. It begins as barely more than vibration, a tremor felt rather than heard. Marina's trained ear catches it immediately, the deep, resonant voice of a blue whale, perhaps hundreds of miles away, the largest creature ever to live on Earth, sending its song across the vast darkness with a power that can travel entire ocean basins. She closes her eyes and lets the sound wash over her. The blue whale's call is impossibly low, each note lasting 20 to 30 seconds, dropping to frequencies so deep they exist at the very edge of human perception. It's a sound older than continents, a voice that has sung through ice ages and warm periods. Through the rise and fall of species Marina's kind has never known. The song pulses through the water with the steady rhythm of a massive heart. Marina imagines the whale suspended in the midnight zone, its throat pleated like an accordion, its 100-foot body moving with the slow grace of all truly enormous things. Somewhere in the darkness above, this gentle giant is calling to others of its kind, sharing news of krill blooms and safe passages, of seasonal journeys spanning thousands of miles. As she listens, Marina realizes this isn't just any blue whale song. There's something in the phrasing, a particular pattern she recognizes from recordings made decades ago. This is an elder, a matriarch whose voice has guided others across the polar waters for perhaps 80 years or more. Each repetition of her call carries the weight of experience, the patience of a creature that has learned to think in geological time. Marina adjusts the recording parameters, capturing not just the primary frequency, but the subtle harmonics that give each whale's voice its unique signature. She has learned that these songs aren't random, they follow rules as complex as any human language, with regional dialects and cultural variations passed down through generations. The blue whale's voice grows stronger, suggesting she's moving closer or perhaps calling with greater urgency. Marina wonders what story this song tells. Is it a mother teaching her calf the navigation songs that will guide him through life? Is it a gathering call, summoning the scattered pod to profitable feeding grounds? Or is it simply the ocean equivalent of saying good morning to the world? A voice acknowledging its place in the vast community of the deep. Other voices begin to join the chorus. Somewhere to the east, a younger blue whale responds with similar phrasing but higher pitch. The conversation ripples outward, each whale adding its voice to the discussion until the ocean hums with their patient dialogue. Marina has learned to hear these exchanges not as noise, but as community, as the maintenance of bonds that stretch across impossible distances. She thinks of all the songs she has recorded in her year. Beneath the ice, the joyful duets of right whales, the clan-specific dialects of pilot whales, the mysterious 24-hour songs of beaked whales that seem to tell stories of the deepest trenches. Each recording is a thread in a tapestry of communication that spans the globe, a network of voices that predates human civilization by millions of years. As the blue whale's song continues, Marina allows herself to become part of this underwater congregation. Her breathing synchronizes with the rhythm of the calls, her heartbeat slowing to match the patient pulse of the deep. She is no longer the observer, but the observed. No longer the listener, but another voice in the ocean's eternal conversation. The song fades gradually, the great whale moving on along pathways mapped in her genes and memory. But the silence that follows isn't empty, it hums with possibility, with the knowledge that somewhere in the darkness, the conversation continues, patient and eternal as the tides themselves. The Arctic Research Station feels different now. Wrapped in the silver light of early morning, Marina moves through the familiar corridors one last time, her footsteps echoing softly against the metal walls that have been her home for an entire year. Through the porthole windows, she can see the endless expanse of ice-covered ocean, its surface painted in shades of pearl and platinum by the gentle Arctic sun. In her quarters, Marina carefully packs the final pieces of equipment. Her hydrophones rest in their protective cases, these sensitive ears that have listened to the ocean's secrets for countless hours. The recording devices, now silent, hold within their memory banks a treasure more precious than gold, an entire year of whale songs, captured in the crystalline waters beneath the ice. But as Marina seals each case, she realizes that the most important recordings aren't stored in these machines at all. They live now within her own memory, woven into the fabric of her consciousness like threads of liquid silver. She closes her eyes and can instantly hear them, the deep, resonant calls of the bowhead whales, their songs rolling through the water like ancient hymns, the playful clicks and whistles of the belugas, their conversations filled with joy and curiosity, the haunting melodies of the humpbacks, their voices carrying stories from distant seas. Each song has become part of her, as natural as her own heartbeat. She remembers the first time she heard the great blue whale's call, so low and profound that it seemed to come from the very soul of the ocean itself. The sound had traveled hundreds of miles through the dark water, carrying messages of love, of territory, of simple existence across the vast underwater landscape. Marina walks to the observation deck, where she has spent so many hours in quiet communion with the sea. The ice stretches endlessly before her, but she knows that beneath this frozen surface, life continues its ancient dance. Somewhere below, a mother whale is teaching her calf the songs of their kind, passing down melodies that are older than human civilization. The songs flow from generation to generation, an unbroken chain of communication that connects the present to the deepest past. The researcher has learned that each whale family has its own dialect, its own variations on the universal themes of the sea. She thinks of the grandmother bowhead she came to recognize by the distinctive tremolo in her calls, a voice that had been singing these waters for perhaps 2 centuries. That ancient whale had welcomed Marina into her world with patience and grace, allowing the human listener to become part of the ocean's greater conversation. As Marina prepares to return to the world above, she understands that she carries more than scientific data with her. She carries responsibility, the weight of being a translator between 2 worlds. The whales have shared their songs freely, trusting her with their most intimate communications. Now, she must find ways to help her own species understand what she has learned in the depths. She remembers quiet moments when the songs seem to harmonize with her own breathing, when the boundary between listener and music dissolved completely. In those precious times, Marina felt herself become part of the ocean's consciousness, her human awareness expanding to encompass the vast network of voices that fills the underwater world. The helicopter that will carry her south approaches across the ice, its rotors creating their own percussion against the Arctic silence. But Marina knows that even when she can no longer hear the ocean's songs with her physical ears, they will continue to resonate within her. Every time she closes her eyes, she will be able to dive again into those blue-black depths, surrounded by voices that speak of mysteries older than continents. As she gathers her belongings for the final time, Marina touches the small shell she keeps on her desk, a gift from the sea ice that formed around the station's hull. Like the whale songs themselves, this fragment of frozen ocean carries within it the memory of its origin, holding the essence of the Arctic waters in its crystalline structure. The songs will travel with her now, beyond the ice, beyond the research stations and laboratories. They will flow into conference halls and classrooms, into the hearts and minds of people who have never heard the ocean's true voice. Through Marina, the whale's ancient wisdom will find new channels, new ways to touch the world above. She takes one last look at the ice-covered sea, knowing that somewhere beneath its surface, the songs continue. The whales sing their eternal melodies, their voices weaving through the water like liquid starlight, carrying forward the stories of the deep. And now, Marina carries those stories too, a human vessel for the ocean's song, ready to share their beauty with a world that needs to remember how to listen. The songs of the sea have become her songs now, forever part of the rhythm of her heart,